experience, a high-level courtroom experience, a high level of, arguing cases before the United States Supreme Court and that type of thing. And she certainly wasn't without her credentials, but I think a lot of us in the criminal justice realm and both prosecution and defense were a little concerned with that hire when it happened.
Bondi was given that position after controversy arose over Matt Gaetz, the president's first pick for AG. A video going viral is showing a tense traffic stop involving Utah Highway Patrol and ICE, ending with a window smashed and several arrests. KSL News Radio's Eric Cabrera is live to break down what we know. Eric?
Maria, you can hear just how quickly this situation ramps up. An ICE officer warning the driver, then smashing the window. And a heads up, what you're about to hear may disturb you.
Open the window.
No puedes quebrarlo.
I'm a U.S. citizen. You pointed your gun on me. Yup, look. Mira. I'm going to break that window. Open it. I don't give a who you are. I don't know you. You don't know me exactly, and you pointed your gun at me.
¿Por qué?
Turn
¿Por
your
qué?
eyes. Turn your eyes.
¿Por qué?
Wait, que lo va a quemar, güey, que te mate.
UHP says the stop started for speeding and escalated when the driver didn't have a valid license and didn't follow commands. Court documents we've obtained say an ICE agent asked for the windows down so they could see inside, and at one point had the people inside at gunpoint. Investigators say one passenger ran, others resisted, and 3 people were arrested. UHP says ICE helped identify the group and found 2 people had immigration detainers. And now with that video spreading, it's also putting a spotlight on UHP's role after the agency says it doesn't have a formal agreement with ICE, but does work with federal partners when needed. Live, Eric Cabrera, KSL News Radio.
The Utah violinist who spent more than 2 weeks in ICE detention last summer is now a permanent resident of the United States. John Shin was placed in an ICE detention facility last August while he was on a business trip in Colorado. His attorney just told us that his green card has been approved. He now has almost all of the rights of a U.S. citizen and will be able to apply for his own citizenship in under 3 years. Vacations and road work may have you rethinking your driving plans this weekend. KSL News Radio's Cameron Elliott has the story.
Traffic was bad last weekend when 2 Wasatch Front school districts went on spring break at the same time. But with the closure of a handful of ramps, General Conference, Easter Sunday, and 5 more districts on break, traffic this weekend could be worse. Nicole McCleary from UDOT says tourism to the national parks will make southern Utah roads particularly cramped.
If you're traveling down south, we've already seen an uptick in people visiting Zion, Moab, and the Arches area. Sometimes delays as high as 25 to 30 minutes to get in and out of those parks. And then going through US 6, we also have some construction at the Chicken Hollow area, which is just east of US 89 Junction.
Delays on the major highways in southern Utah could range from 20 to 60 minutes tomorrow through Sunday. Cameron Elliott, KSL News Radio.
Next week is Salt Lake City's Pothole Palooza. The city is looking for residents to report potholes, especially those causing damage to vehicles or bringing other issues. Crews will be out in the city repairing those potholes. Expect to see more crew members along the roads. Other national stories KSL is following this hour. Iran is showing very few signs of slowing down the war, even though President Trump says it is. ABC's Matt Rivers is in Doha with more.
They continue to fire missiles. We saw more missiles targeting Israel. Just right after the president gave his address, there were missiles flying around this whole region. We've had 2 oil tankers struck in the Strait of Hormuz just this week alone. So what we have seen from the beginning and what we continue to see after this address is a defiant Iran who show no signs, really, of wanting this conflict to end, at least on terms that the United States would like to see.
The Iran Revolutionary Guard says there are no plans to back away. First look traffic. Good afternoon, Cormac.
Afternoon, Maria. We do have congestion both directions on I-15 at the point of the mountain, especially southbound I-15 where there is a crash. And we also have a crash closing the transition ramp from southbound I-215's west belt to go westbound I-80. I'm Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL News Time, 12:06.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Ask yourself this question. Is it really worth holding on to that timeshare that you know you need to get rid of? Here's the truth. The average maintenance fee just went up over 17%. That could have been 117%, and there's nothing you can do about it. When you buy a timeshare, you give them a blank check for annual maintenance and assessment fees. I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. For 15 years, I've helped over 50,000 families cancel their timeshare. Not sell it, not transfer it, cancel it. Did you buy a timeshare because they told you it was a great investment and your maintenance fees would never go up? That's a lie. Are you ready to get rid of your timeshare once and for all? Simply call us and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit that explains all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your timeshare exit kit. 800-979-3535. That's 800-979-3535. 800-979-3535.
911, tell me exactly what happened.
My son and his wife and their 2 children haven't responded.
Susan Powell disappeared on a snowy morning in 2009.
And I said, Josh, where are you? You need to get home.
And her husband will never be held accountable.
Your wife is missing, Josh.
Yeah, but I've always...
And you want to think about it for a couple of days?
I'd had this overwhelming feeling that he had done something to her already.
I'm Dave Cawley, host of the podcast Cold.
Then he starts making phone calls to Susan's phone.
Hello, Susan. We are on our way back.
It's the deepest of deep dives into this tragic tale of abuse.
Where was Josh when Susan disappeared?
I don't know. Of one mother's desperate attempt to escape.
This is me, covering all my bases.
Help prevent it from happening again.
Our focus has and continues to be finding Susan.
Listen and learn by following Cold wherever you get your podcasts.
Thank you for joining us for Midday, recapping our top story. Pam Bondi is out as Attorney General. Deputy AG Todd Blanche will take her place. KSL News Time 12:08. The FDA has approved a new weight loss pill from Eli Lilly. It comes as the weight loss drug trend continues. ABC News Chief Medical Correspondent Dr. Tara Narula says the pill is a little different. It doesn't require patients to take it on an empty stomach.
The company has also said that they've seen reductions in cardiovascular markers, so things like blood pressure and cholesterol. It's important to note there is no head-to-head trial yet of the Wegovy pill and this new pill, Foundayo. There's also no head-to-head trial really between the pill and the injectables, although the company says when they've looked at people who have switched from the injectables to their pill Foundayo, they have been able to maintain weight loss.
Eli Lilly says the pill will be available April 6th. The total number of measles cases reported in Utah is now 559. Local health officials say it's still possible to eradicate the disease again, but they warn it could take a while. KSL News Radio's Adam Small has more.
Nicholas Rupp with the Salt Lake County Health Department tells me the reason measles was declared eradicated from the U.S. more than 25 years ago was because our collective vaccination rate was so high. And he says that's exactly what we need to get back to having herd immunity.
You can either get the disease to be immune to it, or you can be vaccinated against the disease. And we want you to be vaccinated, not get the disease, because vaccinating doesn't carry all of the risks that come with getting the disease.
But Rupp says he thinks there's less trust in public health institutions now than before the COVID-19 pandemic, and now people are getting their vaccine information from unreliable sources. He says it could take months or even years to undo the damage.
Tragically, we'll probably have some folks suffer some really serious consequences from measles infection. Perhaps even some folks die from measles before that public sentiment turns and people are willing to protect themselves and their community through vaccination again.
Adam Small, KSL News Radio.
Traffic and weather together. It is brought to you by UCCU. Earn 4.24% on savings at uccu.com. Cormac?
Well, it looks like the snowy conditions at the point of the mountain have eased up just a little bit, but there are still delays scattered in both directions from Bangalore Highway to Timpanogos Highway, especially southbound, seeing the heavier delays. This is because there is a crash at the point of the mountain on southbound I-15 blocking that left shoulder. We also have snowy conditions bogging down I-80 through Parley's Canyon, both directions seeing heavy delays as you come through the summit. And we do have this crash still closing the transition ramp from southbound I-215's westbound to go westbound I-80 toward the airport, although the delays there have seemed to ease out. No matter the weather, your feet can feel fantastic. Find the Good Feet location nearest you at goodfeet.com. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
Pretty dynamic cold front moving in today. We got a high of 50 degrees. Rain, snow showers accompanying that front with a little bit of wind. Overnight, 32. We got a snow shower early Friday morning, then clearing. Friday afternoon, 49, partly cloudy. By Saturday and Sunday, I got 50s and 60s, a gorgeous Easter weekend. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
And right now in downtown Salt Lake City, it's chilly, 36 degrees, and we've seen some snow showers. Coming up on Midday, we'll talk to a local attorney about the firing of the AG and what it means. That's coming up, streaming live at KSLNewsRadio.com and on the app for KSL News Radio. We are Utah's news, traffic, and weather station. And this portion of Midday is sponsored by Ovation Homes. With me this afternoon, Amber Weikstra. Amber, thanks so much for being with me.
Yeah, thanks, Maria. It's great to be with you again.
So excited to talk to you after seeing your beautiful homes. I want to make sure everybody knows what they're like. So first of all, tell us about your homes and how they really benefit those that are over 55 and have an active lifestyle.
For sure. So for over 30 years, we have been building homes specifically to meet that active adult lifestyle. And what that means to us is there are no stairs or steps in our homes, along with wider entryways, wider hallways that just make it very accessible as you go through that active adult phase of your life and want to have that free range of movement. So we really try to create those spaces that are focused on accessibility, but of course are also beautiful, beautiful spaces.
Oh my goodness, they are beautiful spaces. I love how you can sit in the family room and it's kind of open. It's such an open environment and really lovely. But also for those folks who just don't want to do yard work anymore, you're helping them out as well.
Absolutely. With these communities that we design, they are for those 55 and older. And with that comes that, maintenance-free type of living where we take care of the lawn mowing in the summer times and then also the snow removal in the wintertime here in Utah. So it makes it really nice to focus your time on the things that you enjoy and not so much the things that the house makes you want to do every weekend.
Right. And with your open concept, it's really developed for families, the kids to come over and enjoy the time with their parents.
For sure. For sure. Our clients tell us that the most important spaces are that gathering areas you've already mentioned, that open concept, and then also our primary suites with the spacious bathrooms and spaces for that as well. So those are our two main focuses as we design these homes.
All right. And I want folks to know we're going to be talking to you throughout the hour, but the Spring Showcase is on Saturday, April 11th, an opportunity to come and tour the different styles of homes. And they have homes, communities in West Point, Syracuse, and Layton.
Imagine a world where you can leave the house and take your home Wi-Fi speeds with you. Thanks to Xfinity Mobile, it's not just a fantasy. Just picture it. You're at your kid's soccer practice, streaming the other game in 4K. Just like that. In the airport, download a cozy family comedy in a snap with Wi-Fi Power Boost. What if the places you had to be felt more like everywhere you wanted to be? That's the magic of Xfinity Mobile. Reliable Wi-Fi and 5G when you need it. Xfinity. Imagine that. Cut your mobile bill in half with 2 lines of unlimited. Visit XfinityMobile.com to learn more. Restrictions apply. Xfinity Internet required. Savings based on promotional rate for 2 lines of Xfinity Mobile Unlimited versus regular rates for 2 lines of T-Mobile Experience, More, Verizon Unlimited Plus, and AT&T Starter as of 2/10/26. Taxes, fees, extra after promo. Regular rates apply. Xfinity. Imagine that.
Any Hour Services free furnace sale is going on right now. If you haven't scheduled your free estimate yet, do it now. Call Any Hour Services today or schedule online at anyhourservices.com.
KSL News Time 12:15. The 3 things you need to know this hour. First,
local health officials say despite the hundreds of measles cases we've seen in Utah over the last year or so, it is still possible to eradicate the disease, though they say that cannot happen without vaccines. I'm KSL News Radio's Adam Small.
Second, Pam Bondi is the last Trump official to be ousted. She follows Kristi Noem, who was ousted just last month. Third, traffic and weather together.
We do still have this crash southbound I-15 at the point of the mountain blocking the left shoulder, and we have a new crash on northbound US 40 at the intersection with I-80 near Kimball Junction. I'm Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
Hey, I got a cold front today, highs in the 50s, then clearing for the weekend. I'm Matt Johnson.
And it's been snowing, raining, 36 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Time now for KSL's top national stories.
From ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. Another top cabinet member is out of the Trump administration. President Trump, in a social media post announcing Pam Bondi has been ousted as Attorney General and says Bondi will move to a job in the private sector. ABC's Rachel Scott says the president grew frustrated with a string of DOJ court losses.
He then adds that the Deputy Attorney General, Todd Blanche, will now be serving as the acting Attorney General of the United States. We have been hearing for days now and weeks, quite frankly, that the president and sources within the administration had been frustrated with Attorney General Pam Bondi over her handling of the Epstein files, but also over accusations that she was not going after the president's perceived political opponents hard enough.
A new Attorney General nominee, that unnamed so far, will face Senate hearings and confirmation. Hours after the president addressed to the nation on the war in Iran, oil prices soaring. ABC's Mary Bruce has more on his address.
He says the operation is nearing completion, but is also vowing to continue attacking Iran and threatening their energy infrastructure if they don't reach some kind of a deal.
We're going to hit them extremely hard over the next 2 to 3 weeks. We're going to bring them back to the Stone Ages where they belong.
The president rehashing why he started this campaign, saying Iran couldn't have a nuclear weapon.
The crew of the Artemis 2 capsule high overhead of Earth right now, orbiting and checking out all those systems before the next phase of its moon mission. Here's ABC's Sam Champion.
It'll be the first time in half a century that humans have laid eyes on the far side, or the dark side of the moon. They're going to document everything they see. Then Orion will slingshot, kind of head home, using Earth's gravity to pull the spaceship back to Earth, completing the figure-8 path, eventually splashing down off the coast of San Diego after 10 days in space.
You're listening to ABC News.
Time now for the KSL In-Depth. Pam Bondi is out as Attorney General. She is the latest official in the Trump administration to be ousted from her position. Erin Ryder is a local attorney, former candidate for office and political insider, and she joins me now live. So this is the second administration official to be ousted in just 2 months. Erin, is that surprising to you?
No, I think this is one that we all probably saw coming, just if anything, based on the Epstein files. It's clear that Pam Bondi did not handle that well. There were a lot of missteps within the Trump administration on the Epstein files alone. So let alone anything else that's going on, probably not a surprise to see us in this position.
Yeah, this is just a day after the president visited the Supreme Court for her office's work on that. Do you think that also led to this happening?
Potentially. I mean, that would be a little bit preemptive of him to fire her while the court is hearing, arguments on that subject. But who knows? I mean, maybe, it's from some of the comments made in the courtroom yesterday. It sounded like the Solicitor General may not have been fully prepared to answer some of the justices' questions on a few things. I don't know how, President Trump would have looked at that, but it's sort of, you can see how a bunch of things sort of coming together. He may have felt like he was no longer getting what he wanted out of that position and wanted to move on to someone else.
Yeah. So where does it leave us now?
Well, just like with the Department of Homeland Security, there's going to be an interim attorney general until they have to go through the nomination and confirmation process again. And maybe that will be Lee Zeldin. He seems to be the front runner in terms of, taking the next position. He's currently head of the EPA. Will that happen? I don't know. But for now, the Attorney General's office still has to function, so they'll still continue to move forward under an interim director until President Trump decides, who he wants to be in that position next.
How do such dramatic changes impact just how people see the administration, do you think?
Yeah, well, when you start seeing a lot of upsets and a lot of changes, it certainly leads to it can lead to a feeling of instability. And are we at that point yet? I don't know. I mean, we have had 2 relatively major changes with the departure of Kristi Noem and now with the departure of Pam Bondi. It looks like they may be looking to give Pam Bondi a place elsewhere in the administration like they did with Kristi Noem. But with Kristi Noem, that was pretty much a title and not really a whole lot else. I don't know what will happen with Pam Bondi, if we'll see something different. So, yes, it can certainly lead to, concerns about stability and are they on the same page? Are they working together? Is Trump upset because he feels like he's not getting, progress on the things that he cares about and wants? A whole bunch of things could be happening. So it's not unusual to see changes in an administration But if you start, there is a tipping point at which you start to say, okay, something's going on.
All right, Erin, appreciate your time. Thanks so much for being with me. Erin Ryder is a local attorney, former candidate for office, and a political insider. Let's get you up to date with traffic and weather together. It's brought to you by UCCU. Build smart, save big with construction loans at UCCU. Cormac?
Your main issues are getting from Summit County over onto I-80 into Salt Lake County. Northbound Highway 40, we're seeing a crash on the transition ramp from northbound Highway 40 to go eastbound I-80. That transition ramp is blocked. Now, you can still get onto eastbound I-80 if you go under the freeway and flip around, but there is still heavy delays on northbound US 40. We also have heavier delays both directions on I-80 through Parley's Canyon near the summit due to those snowy conditions. And we are still seeing this crash on southbound I-15 at the point of the mountain. They're blocking that left shoulder, causing those lighter delays that start as you come up the hill to point of the mountain and go down into Utah County. Replenish Landscape Garden Products offer the finest compost soil blends, bark, mulch, playground chips, and more. When you want the very best, visit replenishcompost.com. Replenish, it's good stuff. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL 7-day forecast calling for showers and thunderstorms today. High of 50 degrees, and it will be breezy. 49 tomorrow. We got an AM rain snow shower, then it clears out. 58 on Saturday. Looks gorgeous, mostly sunny. Headed into Easter Sunday. Plan for those Easter egg hunts. I got a high of 66 with sunny skies. Headed into Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday next week, talking about low 70s and a little more cloud cover. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
Chilly, light snow right now in downtown Salt Lake City, 36 degrees. 7-day forecast is brought to you by Performance Automotive Bountiful. Looking at the markets, they're wavering today in negative territory. A complete update of your money news is next.
We want to talk about soda, diet, and nutrition. SOTA stands for state of the art. And Andy and I both let go of massive amounts of weight. You more than me.
70 pounds in 5 months.
And I did 37 pounds in 3 months. And what worked for me was so many things. Talking to a nutritionist every week and having her tell me what to eat. I can do as I'm told.
Yeah.
But I have no clue where to begin.
And I needed the help too. It's just food. There's no pills, no injections. So you learn how to both let go of the weight and then how to keep it off.
So Soda Diet and Nutrition is a great place to start. But if you started with pills or medications and you find yourself starting to gain some weight back, Soda Diet and Nutrition is a great way to learn how to have a new relationship with food to go into the future.
You can talk with a nutritionist by calling 866-800-SOTA, S-O-T-A, or you can go to their website, sotadietandnutrition.com.
Join now and your partner joins for free. 2 people, real accountability for the price of 1.
Join us for a short time to have results that last a lifetime.
You bought an RV, and you got an automatic discount from Progressive by bundling it with your home or auto insurance. That's great, but a serious word of warning every RVer should heed. You don't need to talk about things like dry weight or dump stations. And you don't need one of those expensive water filter straws either. Because the most extreme thing most RVers encounter is a campsite without hookups. So just enjoy yourself and Progressive's automatic discount when you bundle your RV, boat, or motorcycle with your home or auto insurance. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Not available in all states or situations.
Are you stuck staring at your W-2? Are tax refund worries holding you back? You probably have FOMO, the fear of messing up. The fix? Using TurboTax on Intuit Credit Karma. They find every credit and deduction to help you get every refund dollar you deserve, or your money back. It's time to overcome your fear of messing up and get your taxes done right. Start filing today in the Credit Karma app.
KSL News Time, 1225, watching Utah's money. Amazon is in talks to buy satellite telecom group Global Star. The Financial Times says it comes as a company tries to build its own low Earth orbit satellite business to rival Starlink from SpaceX. Google is allowing Gmail users to change their email address for the first time ever. It does take a few steps, and anyone who only has the old address will still be able to reach the new one. Changes can be made up to 3 times a year. British adults are less active on social media than the younger generation, but more likely to use AI tools. Now, that's according to a study published on Ofcom around 1 in 8 say they use them for conversational purposes. And taking a look at your money at this moment, the Dow right now down by nearly 200 points, about 0.5%, sitting at 46,367. S&P down by 17, and the NASDAQ right now is down by 0.25%, down 65 points. And this portion of Midday is sponsored by Ovation Homes. Amber Wykster is with me. Amber, we've been talking about your wonderful homes for that active adult lifestyle, but you have a spring showcase on Saturday, April 11th, where everybody can come see the homes.
Yeah, we are so excited to host this. We've got all of our communities opened, which you've already mentioned, are in Layton, West Point, Syracuse, and because a lot of times people want to just come and learn more about the lifestyle. Like they're maybe not quite sure it's time to make the best move. And so we find by opening up our subdivisions and touring these homes, people can come and get a really good feel about what this potentially could look like either in the near future or maybe a little bit down the road.
Mm-hmm. The last time we were out there, you also had like the financial experts out there that could actually help people kind of walk through what it would be like financially if they want to do like a reverse mortgage or some other option.
Absolutely. We have very just great partners, and they will be there with us again on Saturday, the 11th, to answer anyone's questions. Again, very lifestyle driven event, wanting to just have people come and feel comfortable learning more about what that next phase of life could look like.
I'm still dreaming about the kitchen, the family room area, and boy, that pantry that I saw the last time we were out there. Talk about what goes into, how do you decide how to make these so wonderful?
You know, that's one of the great things about our past clients is that through years of doing this, they really tell us exactly what is most important to them as they go into that next phase. And so the pantry area is always very important, whether it's, you know, doing a little bit of food storage or just making sure you've got enough for when the family comes. Having those big pantry spaces is important, but also even like a roll-in shower. We have many clients that would like to have a stepless shower, and so we've got a detail that we can do that will allow that to happen as well. So we listen to our clients and allow them to tell us exactly what they need.
Okay, we'll be talking with you again in just a few minutes. And this portion of Midday is sponsored by Ovation Homes. The spring showcase on Saturday, April 11th at all their locations. Their communities are in West Point, Syracuse, and Layton. Traffic and weather together. It's brought to you by UCCU. Build smart, save big. UCCU. Love where you bank. Cormac?
We do still have the delays on northbound Highway 40 trying to get onto I-80 in Summit County, although the crash has cleared off the road, so hopefully they'll open that transition ramp that was closed from northbound US 40 to go westbound I-80. And we do still have delays on I-80 through Parley's Canyon, especially at the summit, both directions. That's due to that snowy condition. And we are still seeing this crash on southbound I-15 blocking the left shoulder at the point of the mountain. Light delays there, though, as the snowy conditions have cleared out. Looks like the delays have followed suit. And we also have reports of a crash on northbound Bangerter Highway just after California Avenue blocking the right shoulder. And it doesn't look like they're adding to any delays there, just the normal slowdowns you'd expect. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
Hey, forecasting a high of 50 degrees today. Look for wind, showers, thunderstorms, maybe even some snowflakes mixing in. By late afternoon and evening, things should clear out. I got a 49 tomorrow, partly cloudy, but an AM rain snow shower is possible. Saturday looks good, high of 58, mostly sunny skies. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
And right now we do have some light snow in downtown Salt Lake City and 36 degrees.
You're listening to Midday with Maria Shilaos
on KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM and 1160 AM.
Good afternoon, KSL News Time, 1230. KSL's top story this half hour. Hundreds of people have a problem with the resolution from the state school board, which includes language like moral and religious people are the only people capable of sustaining a free nation. KSL News Radio's Heather Peterson is live with details. Heather?
Maria, the Utah State Board of Education adopted this resolution in February. They say their intention was to affirm the core beliefs from the Declaration of Independence and its founding fathers in honor of America's 250th birthday. But some people are calling the language unconstitutional, and they worry it blurs the line between church and state. Former teacher Diane Ritchie spoke out against it at today's board meeting.
Resolution 2020-601 tells Utah students that non-religious people are morally inferior to religious people. I reject this assertion. And I remind you as public office holders that you do not have a right to claim this.
More than 450 people signed a petition asking the board to rescind this resolution. I just spoke with 2 board members who say this resolution was thoughtfully considered and uses direct quotes from our founding fathers. Reporting live, Heather Peterson, KSL News Radio.
Cultural attitudes around women in blue-collar work is shifting. KSL News Radio's Brianna Willis has more.
By 2030, over 40% of the trade workforce will be retired. A report from Utah State University says schools and government agencies have recognized this coming need and are increasingly looking to women to help fill the gap. In Utah, 78% of people who responded to a survey say trade work is a good option for women. However, there is still a large gap between attitudes and reality. In construction, carpentry, electrical, and plumbing, women make up less than 5% of the workforce. One of the larger challenges facing women in trades is finding childcare. Almost 70% of women with young families say they have left or think about leaving the trades because they just can't find someone to watch their kid. Brianna Willis, KSL News Radio.
Lehigh residents will soon get to enjoy a bigger library with more programs. The new city library is opening up in the new Lehigh Civic Center after a couple of years of construction. Outreach librarian Jamie Barr says since 2024, residents have relied on temporary public library located in a warehouse with a different location for programs.
But now we're all back together. So you can come, go to your story time, and then browse the library and check out some books afterwards, and it's all in the same building.
The library opens April 6th. All community classes offered through the Salt Lake City School District are being canceled. The district says it's due to a misalignment with the district's mission, and they're going to use their limited resources instead to benefit pre-K through 12th grade education instead of adult classes. There are currently 70 classes this semester with 700 students. Several community members tell KSL they are planning on going to the school board about this when they meet in a few weeks. KSL's top national stories. Pam Bondi is out as Attorney General. Rumors have been swirling that President Trump is not pleased in how Bondi has been carrying out his wishes. ABC News Washington correspondent, Jonathan Karl has more.
And in terms of the handling of the Epstein files, this has really been a frustration throughout the administration. Many people in the president's inner circle just unhappy with how she has handled it, thinking that it's been a PR disaster, including her recent testimony on Capitol Hill.
President Trump says that she'll move on to a role in the private sector. Todd Blanche, the Deputy Attorney General, will now serve as acting AG. ABC News Chief Justice Correspondent Pierre Thomas has more.
Todd Blanche, the acting Attorney General, is a person who has, played a key role in the DAG position, Deputy Attorney General. They essentially run the building on a day-to-day basis in terms of major cases. So there will be a relatively smooth transition in that regard. But there are major issues that the Justice Department has to confront, and now there will be for Todd Blanche to deal with, as well as the politics.
We will continue to monitor updates on the situation throughout the day with some more insight later on Midday. Other national stories KSL is following. President Trump says the U.S. role in Iran is nearing completion, but there's going to be even more military action for now. The president is also repeating his attacks on NATO allies and says they should work to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. But NATO allies have been reluctant and say they don't want to get involved in this conflict. ABC's Britt Clennett talks more about the president's speech and how it sent oil prices higher.
Analysts I've spoken to warn that, further escalation, they could sustain elevated energy prices and weigh on risk assets too. The benchmarks in Australia, Japan, across that region fell, led by South Korea's Kospi, which plunged 5.5%. That led the losses in Asia. And stocks listed in Europe as well also began their trading firmly in negative territory today.
Oil is currently sitting at $112 a barrel. First look traffic. Good afternoon, Cormac.
Afternoon, Maria. It looks like the crash that we had in Summit County on that transition ramp from northbound US 40 to go westbound I-80 has cleared off the road. That ramp is open. We also have the same also a ramp open after a crash southbound I-215's west belt to go westbound I-80 near the airport. That ramp is open also. I'm Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL News Time, 12:35.
My friend Joey means well.
Always remember that the early bird gathers no moss.
But he gets a little confused.
You can't make a silk purse out of a wooden nickel.
Like Joey, many of us can be confused when it comes time to plan for retirement. When to take Social Security, how to use that 401k, what about the stock market, taxes, and Medicare? Todd Kim at Galileo Wealth Management can help to simplify retirement planning. His goal is to have you walk into retirement with confidence, not worry, and to address the number one concern among retirees today, the fear of running out of money. Call Galileo Wealth today for a no-cost, no-obligation meeting to talk about the details of your retirement. 385-247-7000. It's 385-247-7000. Or online, GalileoWealth.com. And remember,
one man's trash is thicker than water. Of course, water's not thick at all. It's watery.
Does your home have peeling paint or faded colors? Don't procrastinate. You need to protect your home with quality paint and a worry-free process, so make an appointment with CertaPro Painters. You quickly get a free estimate that's detailed, easy to understand, and then their trusted local professionals will bring fresh color to your home with quality craftsmanship at the right price. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated, so schedule your free estimate at CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C. CertaPro.com.
Don't miss the excitement of the crowd, the perfect ping of 300-yard drives, the sound of sinking a 15-foot putt, shifting the leaderboard. Challenge is an understatement. Beautiful, bold, athletic. LPGA's next-gen stars vying for glory on a course that's as stunning as it is challenging. The Copper Rock Championships Epson Tour, May 14th through 16th. Come for the game. Stay for the journey. Copper Rock, born to be played.
Thank you for joining us for Midday, recapping our top story. A resolution from the State Board of Education was supposed to affirm the beliefs of America's founders, but some say the religious language within it is unconstitutional. KSL News Time 1237. The rain is coming down across the Wasatch Front.
We've got some rain totals that are quite impressive. Generally speaking, along the Wasatch Front and through central Utah, even for that matter, about a half inch to an inch plus. Some of the numbers: Salem, 1.57. Woodland Hills, 2 inches of rain so far. Linden, about $1.50. Saratoga Springs, 1.27. Kaysville, over an inch. The same for Ogden. Beaver, half inch, and the same for Salt Lake City.
We've also been seeing some snow showers here in downtown Salt Lake City. And KSL meteorologist Matt Johnson says we'll have another round tomorrow morning that could also have some snow mixed in. We are actually seeing some double-digit snow totals for the first time in a while. Alta got 13 inches, Brighton 16, and Snowbird got 13. Bryan Head, Park City, Solitude, and Woodward Park City all got less than 8 inches. The Institute for Land, Water, and Air at Utah State University is working to create better models about disasters in Utah.
Utah faces several different types of disasters like floods, earthquakes, and wildfires. Philip Fernberg with ILWA says there are national models for disaster mitigation.
One of the things that is particular need here in Utah is the fact that many of these wonderful federal level tools that have been used for cost benefits analysis or for risk assessment, they were not intentionally, but they were modeled in geographies that don't quite work in the same way that our unique geographies here in our arid mountainous region of Utah.
He says their goal is to create a risk management tool that helps Utah cities and towns see the full picture when it comes to disaster mitigation. He says with easy access to this information, leaders can make better decisions. Don Brinkerhoff, KSL News Radio.
If there's an emergency in Davis County, officials have the resources, are now ready to respond with the new $15 million Emergency Operations Center. Manager Ember Herrick says the county faces a number of threats.
Flooding in the spring, wildfire throughout the wildfire season, downsloping eastern winds that come off those mountains or hills. So we have crazy hurricane force winds every 5 to 10 years.
The building can be used for training, classes, and a full-scale emergency drill every year. Traffic and weather together. It's brought to you by UCCU. Earn 4.24% on savings at uccu.com. Cormac?
Well, we do still have heavy delays on I-80 through Parley's Canyon, both directions at the summit due to those snowy conditions. But the delays that we had on northbound US 40 seem to have just about cleared out as you try to get onto I-80 now that that crash is cleared off the road. We have a new issue, though. Northbound Bangalore Highway, we're seeing a disabled vehicle blocking the right shoulder just after California Avenue, adding to those normal delays there. But I-15 is a calm and clear drive speed-wise all across the Wasatch Front, still seeing those wet road conditions and a small crash southbound at the point of the mountain blocking attacking the left shoulder. Buy tickets now at ODT's Shut Up and Dance. BOGO sale ends April 1st. Romeo and Juliet and Chicago Nights, April 6th through the 11th. Visit odysseydance.com for details. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
Active weather again today. I've got highs in the low 50s and upper 40s. Chance for showers and even thunderstorms. We'll go to 32 overnight. Slight chance that we see the lake effect play in. Could see some snow showers early Friday. Then we clear it out. 49 for a high, partly cloudy Friday afternoon. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
Still some showers in downtown Salt Lake City and 37 degrees. And coming up on Midday, we'll talk with an expert about AI and how it's driving college students to change their majors. That's coming up, streaming live at KSLNewsRadio.com and on the app for KSL News Radio. We are Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Hi, this is Derek Overstreet, president of the New Millennium Group and co-host of Stop Working, Start Living with KSL News Radio. Can you imagine what your life would be like if you could retire 3 to 5 years earlier than you thought possible? The things you could do, the loved ones you could spend time with, the memories that you could create. That's what our team at the New Millennium Group does. We'll walk you through the entire process every step of the way. If you'd like to get a copy of the 5-step proprietary plan that will help you retire 3 to 5 years sooner than you thought possible, give us a shout right now. 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370 or utahsfinancialplanner.com. Listen, most of our listeners right now have a tax problem, not a money problem. There's not enough money in Social Security Medicare as it is. Let us show you how you can significantly reduce your taxes. That's 888-999-6370, 888-999-6370 or utahsfinancialplanner.com.
Alpine Home Medical, we bring wellness home.
Hey folks, Jay Broadbent here from Alpine Home Medical. I've been helping folks breathe easier for 29 years now. Trust me, at my age, I know a thing or two about needing a good night's sleep. Is your CPAP mask old and nasty? Are your masks, filters, or tubing from the pre-COVID era? Or just plain tired of the hassle of ordering supplies yourself? Switch to our resupply program. We handle everything, automatic shipment straight to your door, insurance billing, and expert support. It's quick, easy, and keeps your sleep therapy on track. Doesn't matter where you got your machine from, anyone can join. Head to alpinehomemedical.com, click on the Easy Resupply button. That's alpinehomemedical.com.
Alpine Home Medical, we bring wellness home.
Wesley is a truck driver.
I drive a truck and I love what I do.
A truck driver with IRS troubles.
They told me I owed them $43,000.
It got really bad.
Quite a few letters in the mail. They were talking about wage garnishment coming after my house, my car. Yeah, they don't play around. I seriously thought that I was going to lose everything.
One sleepless night, Wesley finally made a call to Optima Tax Relief at 2 a.m.
Kind of figured I'd get a machine, but I didn't. I actually got to talk to an actual person in the middle of the night.
He found just what he was looking for.
Oh, they were great people. You need a team of people that know what they're doing. Optima Tax, they know what they're doing.
Optima Tax Relief came through with flying colors.
I saved an incredible amount of money. Happy don't even come close. I was absolutely overjoyed.
Take Wesley's advice.
If you're in any kind of trouble with the IRS, call Optima Tax Relief. Don't trust anybody else.
Call Optima for a free consultation. Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
KSL News Time 1245. The 3 things you need to know this hour. First,
a viral video of a UHP traffic stop in Ogden involving ICE is drawing attention to how the situation escalated and putting a spotlight on UHP's role working with federal agents despite no formal partnership. I'm KSL News Radio's Eric Cabrera.
Second, multiple news outlets are reporting the firing of AG Pam Bondi and that has been in the talks for a while. Third, traffic and weather together. Cormac?
Still seeing higher volumes on I-80 both directions at the summit in Parley's Canyon due to those snowy conditions, and we're looking like the last stages of cleanups on southbound I-15's crash at the point of the mountain. I'm Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
Cold front with thunderstorms, rain, snow, showers, all the above. Then we clear out for the weekend. I'm Matt Johnson.
And a bit of rain and snow in downtown Salt Lake City. 37 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Time now for KSL's top national stories.
This is a special report from ABC News. I'm Michelle Franzen. Pam Bondi is out as Attorney General. President Trump making the decision to replace his top cop at the Justice Department. It follows growing criticism of Bondi's handling of the Epstein files and other high-profile cases. ABC's Alex Mallon says the president continues to push for the DOJ to do more to prosecute his so-called political enemies.
I think President Trump has also made clear he believes that the Justice Department should be more aggressive in charging others, including he has personally singled out Senator Adam Schiff. He believes that former CIA Director John Brennan should be charged. He believes anybody involved in any of the investigations that resulted in the prosecution of himself, that those people should be the targets of prosecution and have to go through what he believes he and his supporters unfairly went through.
Pam Bondi will be leaving the administration for the private sector. President Trump tapping Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche to be interim AG. This is ABC News.
Time now for the KSL In-Depth. The new Gallup poll shows more college students are changing their major due to fear over AI. Brandon Amaker is the director of the Emerging Tech Policy Lab at Utah Valley University. He's joining me now live. Thanks for being with me, Brandon.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
So is this fear valid? I mean, tell us what the concerns of students is right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think right now there is massive concerns just generally about how AI is poised to disrupt the job market. And a lot of analyses are showing that they think that the first jobs to go are going to be kind of entry-level white-collar jobs. Now, that is bad news for a lot of people, but I think for college students in particular, because they need that. Those are exactly the jobs that they're going after. Is jobs that require an education, that are entry level. That usually for the first few years after college, you're doing somewhat of the more menial, repetitive work that you need, a slight education for. Well, that's exactly where AI is going to disrupt. And so I think college students are very concerned about the effect that could have on them and their career outlook as they come out of their educational career.
Brandon, what are the fields that would be most affected by AI?
So AI is really good at doing things which are somewhat repetitive, predictable, and that take a lot of time. So a lot of data entry, some very entry-level legal work, contracting, documenting, copywriting, this type of stuff that is time consuming but doesn't necessarily require a lot of creativity or higher reasoning is some of the stuff that AI is already quite good at, and can frankly do faster than people in a lot of cases.
Mm-hmm. What is your best advice for students? How should they be approaching this?
I think that overall, students need to understand that, we're not going to be able to put the genie back in the bottle. The best thing that you can do right now is understand how can you augment your own capabilities with AI and have a good fundamental understanding of how to work with it and to do so safely and securely. I think that is going to be a skill that the job market is really going to need, is people who have a good understanding of how these things work. Where are they good? Where are they not good? Because so much of the economy going forward is going to be not going to be who has access to AI. Everyone's going to have access to it. It's going to be who can implement it effectively while avoiding some of the potential pitfalls.
Okay, so they shouldn't be afraid of it. They should just learn how to use it to their best.
Exactly. Lean into it and try to understand, hey, how can this make me better?
All right, Brandon, I appreciate your time. Thanks for being with me.
Thank you.
Brandon Amaker is the director of the Emerging Tech Policy Lab at Utah Valley University. Let's get you up to date on the drive. Traffic and weather is brought to you by UCCU. Build smart, save big with construction loans at UCCU. Cormac?
I-15 looking really good speed-wise all across the Wasatch Front. Still seeing some heavy wet road conditions and a touch of slowing northbound I-15 as you pass the I-80-201 interchange. On I-80 in Parley's Canyon, we are still seeing the snowy conditions causing some heavier delays, especially westbound from the summit and then approaching Mountain Dell. And then we do still have this disabled semi-truck northbound Bangerter Highway right after California Avenue, blocking a right lane and shoulder. While you're planning your day, plan for comfort too with the Good Feet store. Find the location nearest you at goodfeet.com. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL 7-day forecast dialing up a cooler day today. Highs in the 40s and low 50s. Chance for showers and thunderstorms. And then it's going to be breezy late afternoon and evening. Got a 49, partly cloudy skies on your Friday. But Friday morning, watch out. Could see some rain, snow showers coming off the Great Salt Lake. Headed into Saturday, 58, mostly sunny. Easter Sunday, 66 blue skies. Headed into next week, 70s are back. both Monday, Tuesday, and even into Wednesday. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
Kind of like weather whiplash. 37 degrees right now in downtown Salt Lake City, and those showers are continuing. And the 7-day forecast is brought to you by Performance Automotive Bountiful. Markets are struggling today. We'll give you the very latest coming up in just a moment. But this portion of our news is sponsored by Ovation Homes. With me, Amber Weikstra. Amber, thanks so much for being here to talk about your communities, which are really trying to reach out to active adults who are ages 55 and older. But what does that mean exactly? I mean, you guys are an assisted living community, so kind of describe what your communities are attempting to do.
For sure. Well, what we found is that, when you get to the point where maybe the kids are gone or getting ready to be gone, you really start to take your focus on, okay, what does that next chapter of my life look like? I know my husband and I, we're not quite at that age yet, but we're already staring at each other going, everything that was important a few years ago has changed because the kids are gone. So we really are looking more into, and our clients look more into, okay, what does that quality of life look like? Are we going to travel more? Are we going to, do we want to be homeless? Do we want to be doing those things where we can really focus our time back to being our own time, if you will, instead of the kids' time? So active adult to us is really creating spaces that allow for that type of lifestyle. So we do have some people that build with us who are not quite 55 yet, but all of our communities are age restricted and have CCNRs that make it so that at least one member of the household has to be over 55. And there are some restrictions, of course, on having long-term, kids and those types of things can't be there too long to visit. So.
Okay. So I could go on and on about your beautifully designed low-maintenance homes, but for those folks who just really want to see it, because I really think you need to see it, you have an Insta account where they can see it right now.
Yeah, so we have some Instatour technology on our homes that are what we call quick move-in, where even if it was on a Sunday afternoon drive and you wanted to just show up and tour a home, any of our homes that have that Instatour technology, you just bring your phone, scan a QR code, you fill out some information so we can verify that you are who you say you are. And then you'll get a code that you can go in and access the home. It's a fantastic technology that makes it so you can tour on your own time instead of meeting with one of our community agents during business hours.
All right. Thanks so much for being with me today, Amber. And I want to make sure people know the spring showcase for Ovation Homes, Saturday, April 11th, an opportunity to come and tour the different communities. All three communities open. They are in West Point, Syracuse, and Layton.
How was your break?
It was great until I stopped for gas. Prices have gone up almost $1 with no end in sight. I might have to start watching how much I drive.
That's exactly why I use Upside. I never pay full price for gas with the free Upside app.
Upside?
Yes, Upside. It's the free app that gives you cash back just for buying the gas you're already buying. So even with the rising gas prices, I'll never have to limit how much I drive.
Does that actually add up to anything?
Just last year, I made over $200 with the Upside app.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the free Upside app right now.
Download the free Upside app to earn cash back on the gas you're already buying. Use promo code THRIVE25 for an extra 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. You can cash out anytime, right to your bank account, or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code THRIVE25 for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first fill-up. That's THRIVE25.
Offers vary by user and location. Go to upside.com for terms and conditions.
KSL News Time, 1254. He's still kicking despite the rumors. Jonathan, an almost 200-year-old tortoise, is alive. He lives on the island of St. Helena and is the oldest living land animal. A fake social media account posted that he died yesterday, but that turned out to be a lie and a crypto donation scam. And Jonathan's still kicking. KSL News Time, 1255. Watching Utah's Money, Gen Z is all about health supplements. CNBC reports the brand Thorne, which offers things like magnesium for muscle relaxation, creatine for muscle mass, and collagen for skin, is on pace to make $650 million in sales this year. Jobs in the healthcare industry are becoming the go-to for people wanting a comfortable life. It's because the median annual wage for nurses is around $93,000. The Labor Department predicts nurse employment to increase 35% over the next 8 years. Netflix is looking for some new momentum after losing the Warner Brothers bid and the end of its original series, Stranger Things. Reuters reports it's looking to create and release some new franchises. The company does have some stuff coming up like Narnia and the Scooby-Doo series. And taking a look at your money at this moment, markets have had kind of a rough day. The Dow right now down by 107 points. It's down about 0.25%, sitting at 46,458. S&P, it's down by 5 points, and the NASDAQ, it's down by 26 points. Fleetwood Mac guitarist Lindsey Buckingham is okay after a run-in with one of their longtime stalkers.
Sources tell ABC News the 76-year-old music legend arrived at an appointment in Santa Monica Wednesday when a woman who had allegedly been stalking Buckingham tossed an unknown substance on him before fleeing the scene. Buckingham was uninjured. Police say the suspect is known to law enforcement due to past incidents.
And that is ABC's Aaron Katursky reporting. And one more thing I'd like to add about Ovation Homes. If you would like to see more of their homes, you can actually go to their website. It's ovationhomesutah.com.
Is your financial advisor managing your risk or just a spreadsheet? Hi, I'm Jeff Jr., founder of Trajan Wealth. Many financial advisors rely on target date funds, which are one-size-fits-all portfolios that don't know your name, your family, or your goals. And that passive management can leave you dangerously exposed. At Trajan, we look at the whole picture, not just the stocks everyone else buys, but the private market opportunities most advisors ignore. And as fiduciaries, we build a strategy around you, coordinating your investments, tax strategy, and estate into one cohesive plan. Your financial life deserves more than just a generic portfolio. Real planning isn't a stack of statements. It's the confidence of knowing where your income will come from for the next 30 years. Good enough isn't good enough for your family. It's time for a change. Schedule your complimentary consultation today.
Call Trajan today at 801-207-9900. That's 801-207-9900.
Advisory services through Trajan Wealth, LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor. Private equity investments require accreditation. Other services through Trajan Estate and Trajan Tax. Additional disclosures at TrajanWealth.com.
KSL Broadcast Group contests are open to participants 18 years of age and older that are residents of Utah, unless otherwise specified. Employees or agents of the station, Bonneville International Corporation, other area radio stations, or any entity associated with the contest may not enter. Persons who have won in the last 30, 60, or 90 days from a station contest or event may not be eligible. Full general contest rules are available at kslnewsradio.com/contests.
You took the first step and quit smoking, but even former smokers may still be at risk for lung cancer. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know about a new low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early. It takes only 60 seconds and could save your life. You took the first step, now take the next. Visit SaveByTheScan.org for a simple quiz to see if you're eligible and talk to your doctor about screening. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
Traffic and weather together. It's brought to you by UCCU. Build smart, save big. UCCU. Love where you bank. Cormac?
Looks like all our crashes have cleared up all across the Wasatch Front. We do still have this disabled semi-truck northbound Bangerter Highway right after California Avenue, blocking that right lane and shoulder. Light delays behind them. And also the delays on I-80 through Parley's Canyon have broken up and scattered out. Just a little bit of slowdowns from the summit to Mountain Dell with the snow starting to ease out through there. Northbound I-15 still a little slow as you pass the I-80-201 interchange, but really your roadway is looking pretty good despite the wet and snowy conditions. Spring is calling. Answer the call in Cedar City and Bryan Head. Head south, try something different. A one-tank getaway that gets you more vacation. Plan now at visitcedarcity.com. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
You can expect this rain-snow mix to continue through the evening. Showers decreasing tomorrow to 20%, and then it looks like a beautiful Easter weekend with the high on Saturday 58 degrees. A lot of sunshine. Sunday 66 degrees.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Just when you thought winter was over, well, whatever winter we actually had was over. Mother Nature is reminding us that springtime in the Rockies often means wet weather and cold temperatures.
We got another round of showers today, even some thunderstorms with a cold front. That should add to the totals. Maybe a rain-snow shower early Friday morning, and then this storm cycle ends. We will dry and warm through the weekend.
The time is 1 o'clock on Thursday, April 2nd. It's midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. Coming up, freeze warnings now in place over the next 2 nights. We'll chat with the KSL weather team about the current storm and what things might look like for your Easter weekend. Also this hour, Attorney General Pam Bondi is out. The president praising her as a loyal friend and true American patriot as he announced her departure from the DOJ.
I think that President Trump's chief frustration with the handling of the Epstein files is that it distracted from what he believed his Justice Department should be doing, which is targeting his political opponents.
We'll get analysis on this move and what it signals for the future of the Department of Justice. But first, our top stories. Utah health officials say there's still a way for us to get rid of measles for good, despite the more than 500 cases we've seen since last year. But they say it could take a few years for it to happen. KSL News Radio's Adam Small has more.
Nicholas Rupp with the Salt Lake County Health Department tells me there's 2 ways to eradicate any disease: get it or get vaccinated for it. And because measles is so contagious, he says we need 95% of our population to be vaccinated to have herd immunity.
So that any of those one-off cases of measles that do enter the community, perhaps from international travel, it won't be able to spread and take hold like it can now.
Rupp says our vaccine rates were exactly why the disease was eradicated from the U.S. more than 20 years ago. But now he says many people have less trust in public health and are getting vaccine information from unreliable sources.
I do think that people's experiences through the pandemic and the sort of collective social trauma we all experienced due to the pandemic does play a role.
And Rupp says he now fears many people will get sick or even die of measles before we see the vaccination rates go up again. Adam Small, KSL News Radio.
Our top national story from ABC News. By firing Pam Bondi, President Trump has turned the keys of the Justice Department over to Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche. ABC's Stephen Portnoy has more.
At last week's Conservative Political Action Conference in Texas, the now acting Attorney General was asked if Alvin Bragg and Fani Willis, prosecutors who targeted Donald Trump, will ever get justice.
Well, yes. I mean, of course. Look, yes.
Todd Blanche, who once served as the president's personal defense attorney, told conservatives he welcomes the criticism that his department hasn't done enough.
If you think it makes me upset when you go on X and say, come on, Dag Blanche, why aren't you doing more? You don't know me.
Stephen Portnoy, ABC News, Washington.
Taking a look at your money at this moment, the Dow is down by 97 points, nearly 0.25%, sitting at 46,467. S&P down by 4 points, the NASDAQ down by 25 points. Traffic and weather, it's brought to you by UCCU. Earn 4.24% on savings at uccu.com. Here's Cormac Bone.
We have new reports of a crash on I-80 westbound just before 5600 West, and we are seeing a crash, new one on southbound I-215's west belt approaching I-80. They're blocking a right shoulder behind the barrel, so no delays behind them. With nutrients blended for greener, healthier turf in our local soil, IFA's 4+ lawn care program is the ultimate lawn owner power move. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
You can expect the rain and snow showers to stay with us for most of the day, decreasing to 20% by tomorrow. And a nice sunny weekend, a high of 58 on Saturday, Sunday at 66 degrees. And then it looks like the showers are going to come back midweek next week. Right now, 37 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
Right now, water heaters are on sale at Any Hour Services. Schedule a free estimate today to see how much you'll save. Google Any Hour Services or schedule online at anyhourservices.com.
If you've saved more than $300,000, there's one thing you can do now that can make your savings go twice as far in retirement, and it's tax planning. That's right. Tax planning could significantly reduce the taxes on your IRA and 401k withdrawals, Social Security benefits, and other investment income. Find out how much money you could save with a free retirement tax savings analysis from the good people at Boss Retirement Solutions. To schedule your free analysis, call 801-896-9622. Tax planning for retirement could reduce your taxes not just for 1 year, but for the rest of your life. And the savings could be six figures. Let's find out how much money you could save. Call 801-896-9622. 801-896-9622.
For informational purposes only, actual results may vary. No statement contained herein shall constitute tax, legal, or investment advice. Advisory services offered through Boss Retirement Advisors, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Insurance products and services offered through Boss Retirement Solutions.
Hi, this is Doug Wright. I'm always talking about what a great place for your family NPS is to shop for anything. But with Easter right around the corner, NPS is absolutely perfect. All of those things you need, from the candies to the Easter baskets to decorations for your home, they're waiting for you at all four of the stores, Layton, Orem, and of course the two NPS stores right here in Salt Lake City on Empire. And don't forget the great specials that you're going to find every day, 20 to 70% off on everything every day, but you'll save even more with the in-store specials, and they differ day to day, and they differ in each and every store. Don't miss your opportunity to have a real shopping adventure. Find the treasures that await you and your family at NPS. NPS, a nice place to save.
Thanks for tuning into Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. Well, it's certainly springtime in the Rockies. Hotter than average weather over the last week gave way to a nice couple of storms yesterday and today. Quite a bit of rain fell across the Wasatch Front with snow on the Wasatch Back. And even here in downtown Salt Lake, we did see a few snow flurries this morning. And now a freeze watch is set to go into effect later tonight until tomorrow morning, and again tomorrow night into Saturday morning. Wild weather. Let's kick off our coverage with KSL meteorologist Evan Mashuli. She joins me now live in the studio. Well, first of all, I'm so excited to see the wet weather, but I don't know about the snow showers that we saw just about an hour ago here downtown.
At least they were brief, like once the cold front moved through, they kind of were with and slightly behind the cold front because, the precipitation is pretty intense. So that really did help bring snow levels down to the valley floor. So we had snow, then we had rain and snow mix, and now it's back to rain. So it's kind of like wherever that front is, everyone might be getting a little bit of snow, but still accumulations are going to be next to none in the valleys just because of how warm it has been, and it's not enough snow.
Well, I don't like slippery roads, which is why I complain about snow in the valleys. But that cold wind this morning, that was no joke. I was up on the university campus, and it was just brutal walking across the campus.
That cold front was strong, and it dropped temperatures, I think, from the mid-50s this morning. We were around 54 degrees and then dropped into the mid-30s. So whenever you have a cold front that's bringing such a strong temperature difference behind it, that leads to really strong winds. And that's why we had the heavy showers that came with it. And, it feels chilly. We were used to the 70s and the 80s in March. So, it's cold.
Not used to it. Spoiled by the 70s
absolutely.
and 80s for sure. So people got all excited with that warm weather. They were out in the yard. You saw people mowing their lawns and planting things maybe that they shouldn't have been planting. So tonight we have a freeze warning. Tell us about that.
So the freeze warning means temperatures are getting down to at or below freezing. And I think it's such a big kind of concern right now because you're right. People did start planting some things. And we have flowers that are budding on trees. So this is just kind of the National Weather Service's way to warn people because, not a lot of people pay attention to the specifics of temperature. So luckily people that do plant, they do. So it's like, hey, this is their way of saying, hey guys, it's actually going to get cold again. Believe it or not, freezing temperatures still can happen this time of year. So that's what the warning is. And it's just to show that, hey, temperatures are going to be cold along the Wasatch Front, Box Elder, Cache Valley, and then not only tomorrow morning, but Saturday morning as well. So protect your crops.
But it looks like things are going to be really nice for Easter. So tell us about the weekend.
Really nice. I mean, sunshine, we have high pressure building back in, something we have dealt with a lot. And high pressure equals sunny skies, quiet weather, and gradually temperatures will kind of warm through the weekend. So we'll be pretty close to 60 on Saturday, and then we'll be in the mid to upper 60s for Easter Sunday. And the warming trend just continues into the first half of next week. We have highs 10 degrees warmer than normal Monday, Tuesday, and maybe Wednesday with highs in the low 70s. I say maybe Wednesday because maybe some unsettled weather will squeak back in here.
Okay. Any idea about rain or snow totals from these past two storms?
Really good. I mean, Alta, so far, the last report, 21 inches of snow, 16 inches at Brighton, 15 inches at Solitude, about 14 inches in Snowbird. summer. So the cottonwoods have done really well with this second storm. The first storm brought about 7 inches in Bryan Head. So even southern Utah got some snow from this storm. Now, yesterday's storm, it was wet. Like the valleys got a lot of rain, and the mountains got that heavy wet snow. Today is that nice fluffy powder.
All right, one of our listeners wants us to know the snow isn't done yet. Jan is at Skyline High School and says it's snowing.
Oh, good. Yeah,
right
I was going to say in some spots wherever the front is, wherever it's cold enough, and we still have a chance for more lake effect snow, by the way, tonight into tomorrow morning, and that could be mostly oriented southeast of the Great Salt Lake. So we might not be done with snow just yet here in the valleys. And of course, depending on how the bands play out, up to 2 inches could fall in the benches. It all just depends on how it goes. But
all right.
The warning's there.
Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you, Devin. And thanks, Jan, for commenting.
Yes, thank you, Jan.
Yeah, and Devin Mashuli, our KSL meteorologist, joining us. And make sure you download the KSL weather app for up-to-date forecasts and weather warnings, and for this current storm and for any storms that pass through the state. Some impressive rain totals over the last day may have you thinking about flooding and maybe disasters in general. Now there's a new statewide initiative to help Utahns better understand and plan for natural disasters, from things like flooding and wildfires to earthquakes and drought. For more on this, I turn to Phil Fernberg, Research Assistant Professor of Environmental Planning at Utah State University.
So this new initiative is a partnership between the Janet Quinney Lawson Institute for Land, Water, and Air and Pew Charitable Trust. And the purpose of the project is to launch a statewide risk and resilience assessment tool for natural disasters. We've noticed that there's been a great amount of work around the state for people, whether it's researchers, practitioners in emergency response or in disaster and risk management, who have been doing a lot of great work, but there is yet to be a place where we can centralize all of the decision-making there and help people know where they can get better bang for their buck in the investments in disaster preparedness, or in response mechanisms, or in post-disaster recovery. So the hope is that we can be able to bring all of this great work together into an easy-to-use decision-making tool.
So how would the tool work?
The idea is that if you have let's say a planner or a county-level person, or really anyone who's trying to make decisions about how to prepare for or respond to disasters, whether that's a wildfire or flash flooding, drought, earthquakes, high winds, they would be able to get in here and say, based on where we're at and what area we're working in this geography, what are the highest risks to this area when a wildfire occurs or when a flood is in process? And they'd be able to then say, what sorts of things can I invest in now that will help mitigate all of those losses, and that would help maybe avoid losses that otherwise could have been avoided? And that matrix would be able to basically help them see as much of the information as possible at once, rather than having to go through all of these different deep databases of amazing and sophisticated information, or go through all of these tranches of research literature. They can be able to have something that's easy to understand, both visually, but also in the information needed for them to make decisions.
Yeah. Describe for me the need for this.
So Utah faces real risks from wildfire, flooding, drought, earthquakes. You can name all of the natural disasters. Nearly all of them occur here in some way. And one of the things that is particular need here in Utah is the fact that many of these wonderful federal level tools that have been used for cost benefits analysis or for risk assessment, they were not intentionally, but they were modeled in geographies that don't quite work in the same way that our unique geographies here in our arid mountainous region of Utah. So a flood, wildfire debris flows, for example, make flash floods look very differently here than they do east of the Mississippi. Or an earthquake along our mountainous fault lines where we have a lot of infrastructure will behave very differently than it would in other places. And so Utah has this need to kind of have a more customized understanding of these disasters and how they behave here, so that people can better know and not underestimate risk or overestimate in other areas of where they might be impacted and where they should or shouldn't build, for example.
Mm-hmm. So how do you hope this would help a regular homeowner when it comes to disaster relief?
Well, the hope is that homeowners wouldn't have to make as much of these decisions because of the places where they build have already built into this code where decision makers upstream of them have helped them to know where they should or shouldn't build. But the actual homeowner who's trying to build their home, for example, and they're in a place where it's uncharted territory, perhaps they might be able to look at this and say, well, in this area where I live, do I have a proper understanding of whether my home is on the floodplain, for example, or whether I'm in an area that would eventually be uninsured because of the increased changes in wildfire insurance because I'm on the wildland-urban interface. Those are some examples. Or maybe I'm a little bit too close to a fault line or liquefacted soil near the lakes where things have a much higher risk of having my home slide in ways that it otherwise wouldn't if I was punched into bedrock. Those are all things that are there and available, but they're not necessarily accessible to homeowners. It's early to tell because we are just in the beginning of developing it, but that could be one scenario where maybe it could be of use.
Anything we need to add?
The hope is that this can put together not only ways for us to make decisions about disaster, but maybe ask the greater questions about how we grow here in Utah. The beauty of us growing as a state is that people want to be here and people want to raise and have families here. And sometimes we need to ask questions about how we can do that better and how we can make it so that people can not only live here, but they can live here knowing that their families will be safe.
Phil Fernberg is a research assistant professor of environmental planning at Utah State University. He says the project aligns with a broader effort to help states strengthen fiscal resilience, reduce disaster losses, and make data-driven investments that protect communities and public resources. Stay with us. We'll be back with more in just 60 seconds.
How was your break? It was great until I stopped for gas. Prices have gone up almost $1 with no end in sight. I might have to start watching how much I drive.
That's exactly why I use Upside. I never pay full price for gas with the free Upside app.
Upside?
Yes, Upside. It's the free app that gives you cash back just for buying the gas you're already buying. So even with the rising gas prices, I'll never have to limit how much I drive.
Does that actually add up to anything?
Just last year, I made over $200 with the Upside app.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the free Upside app right now.
Download the free Upside app to earn cash back on the gas you're already buying. Use promo code THRIVE25 for an extra 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. You can cash out anytime, right to your bank account, or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code THRIVE25 for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first fill-up. That's THRIVE25.
Offers vary by user and location. Go to upside.com for terms and conditions.
Attorney General Pam Bondi is out. President Trump confirming on Truth Social that the U.S. Attorney General is leaving. The president writing that Bondi has been a great American patriot and a loyal friend who did many things over the last year. He says that she will be transitioning into a job in the private sector and that Todd Blanche will step in as acting Attorney General. The move comes following several rumors over the last few days that the president was looking at firing her. It also comes following a lot of pushback from Congress and the American people over Bondi's handling of the Epstein files. Joining me now on Midday is KSL legal analyst and the co-host of Inside Sources, Greg Skordas. So, Greg, were you surprised by this news?
I was surprised that it happened so quickly, Maria. I mean, Kristi Noem was just let go last month, but not necessarily surprised that it happened. Pam Bondi has been in the president's crosshairs a little bit, like you indicated, and he felt that she was not doing enough to protect him from the Epstein files. At least this is according to some sources in the White House, and that she wasn't aggressive enough in pursuing some of his political opponents and enemies. And, of course, Congress is thinking sort of the opposite with respect to the Epstein files, that she hasn't been forthcoming enough. So she was in a really tough situation either way.
Yeah, many people, not just Congress, have said, hey, we need to see all of the files. How would she protect the president more?
Yeah, that's what I can't imagine how she could have done that any better. But he might just feel frustrated with the overall the way that department's being run right now and the attitude with respect to the Justice Department. We've seen a lot of U.S. attorneys throughout the country leave their jobs over frustration with what she's been telling them to do with the direction of that office. She didn't come with a lot of prestige and integrity in terms of being a seasoned federal prosecutor, having some of the big cases that you'd expect somebody to take that position with. So I think she didn't get a lot of support within her own office. And then when the administration felt that she wasn't doing enough to support them, I think you could see the writing on the wall.
Yeah, one of our texters saying that the Attorney General is not the president's personal legal team. You mentioned that the president is upset that she didn't go after his enemies. Can you talk about the relationship between the president and the Attorney General?
Yeah, that texter is genius. So the Attorney General is supposed to serve the people of the United States. just like our attorney general here, we've had some concern over whether the attorney general in Utah is the lawyer for the governor, and he's not. He's the lawyer for the people. And the same with the administration. The administration appoints the attorney general, but he or she is the chief law enforcement officer, chief prosecutor for the people of the United States. And I think the president thought she could be doing more for him. Now, whether he finds somebody that will do that remains to be seen, but she just wasn't doing what he thought she needed to be doing. He left on good terms, apparently, but I think that last hearing that she had with Congress not long ago, where she really got into it with some of the representatives, was just awful, and I think her performance there sort of sealed her fate.
Mm-hmm. So, Greg, our listeners know that you are an attorney, and from an attorney's perspective, how has Pam Bondi impacted the Attorney General's office?
I say this with all respect, but I don't think she could have handled it worse. I know very, very good, very seasoned United States attorneys from throughout the country that left their job in large part because of that administration. They felt they couldn't work with her. They felt they couldn't do the job that she wanted them to do. And prosecuting is one of the elite careers in the country. I think it's one of the most prestigious jobs a person can have. And to see people with that quality, with that kind of integrity leave the office just because they're being asked things to do that they're sad for me to see personally.
All right, Greg, thanks so much for being with me. That is KSL's legal analyst, Greg Skordas, joining me. Coming up at 1:30, we're going to dig into a new study that looks at societal challenges facing America's young men. You'll want to stick with us for that conversation. But first, it's traffic on KSL News Radio. It's brought to you by UCCU. Build smart, save big. UCCU. Love where you bank. Cormac?
Well, we do have a crash on northbound I-15 in Murray just after 4500 south, blocking a right lane and shoulder, causing some heavier delays in these wet road conditions. Also, still seeing this crash on southbound I-215's west belt off on the right shoulder behind some construction barrels as you approach the I-80 merge. The Good Feet store, supporting you with comfort no matter what the day brings. Find the location nearest you at goodfeet.com. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
Many people worry they're not making the right investment choices inside their 401ks. Did you know that you might have a little-known opportunity to add some additional investment choices to your 401k and get the help and recommendations you've been looking for? This exciting feature is called a self-directed brokerage window. And the best part? The money still stays within your 401k. Learn how the trusted advisors at Capital Wealth may be able to expand your investment portfolio. To learn more, call or text the word VISIT to 801-877-9800 or go to CapitalWealth401k.com. Improving your 401k might mean the difference of retiring a few years earlier. Let's find out. Schedule your no-cost 15-minute consultation with the Capital Wealth team today. Call or text the word VISIT to 801-877-9800 or go to CapitalWealth401k.com. Advisory services offered through Capital Wealth Advisors, LLC, a state of Utah registered investment advisor.
Only one type of burger. For every pallet. Fries are extra. Large in size. We've got the shakes. Going over the brim.
Hey, this is Chris from JCW's. Put a positive, delicious spin on your day at any one of our 5 locations. In Lehigh, American Fork, Provo, South Jordan, or Harriman. JCW's, quality and a lot of it.
I'm Congressman Mike Kennedy. For years, Utah families have paid too much for health care, groceries, and everyday essentials. I'm fighting for health care reform that puts patients first and lowers costs. I'm also working to cut waste, fraud, and abuse in Washington because your tax dollars should be spent wisely. Fiscal responsibility means lower costs and a government that works for you. I'm Mike Kennedy, and I'll keep fighting for Utah families. Paid for by official funds authorized by the House of Representatives.
We want to talk about soda, diet, and nutrition. SOTA stands for state of the art. And Andy and I both let go of massive amounts of weight. You more than me.
70 pounds in 5 months.
And I did 37 pounds in 3 months. And what worked for me was so many things. Talking to a nutritionist every week and having her tell me what to eat. I can do as I'm told.
Yeah.
But I have no clue where to begin.
And I needed the help too. It's just food. There's no pills, no injections. So you learn how
to both let go of the weight and then how to keep it off.
So Soda Diet and Nutrition is a great place to start. But if you started with pills or medications and you find yourself starting to gain some weight back, Soda Diet and Nutrition is a great way to learn how to have a new relationship with food to go into the future.
You can talk with a nutritionist by calling 866-800-SOTA, S-O-T-A, or you can go to their website, sotadietandnutrition.com.
Join now and your partner joins for free. 2 people, real accountability for the price of 1.
Join us for a short time to have results that last a lifetime.
Every day here in Utah, people turn to KSL News Radio for one simple reason: trust. Trust for our reporters, hosts, our coverage, and trust in the businesses heard right here. I've met so many of our listeners over the years, and they'll tell you KSL is part of their daily routine, in the car, at work, at home. And when they hear your business here, it carries the weight of that trust. It isn't just another ad. It's a recommendation coming from a reliable source. When you advertise on KSL News Radio, you reach a loyal, highly engaged audience who listens intentionally. They show up for breaking news, accurate information, and meaningful conversations. And because of that connection, they respond. And when you pair our on-air credibility with digital tools like display advertising, social media, streaming audio, search, geo-targeting, and retargeting, you get a full funnel strategy that works and reaches the right people at the right time. Get marketing that truly moves the needle. Partner with the voice Utah trusts. KSL. Learn more at kslnewsradio.com/advertise.
All in together now, we can make it better. Can we do it? We're open up.
Cause we know how to jump. Moving and eating better every day can help make you and your kids healthier. Search We Can online to find out more. A message from the Ad Council, HHS, and NIH's We Can program.
You were listening to Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. Measles continues to spread around Utah, but health officials say it's not too late for us to get rid of measles for good. The only issue is that it could take years for it to happen. Nicholas Rupp with the Salt County Health Department says there's 2 ways to eradicate the disease: either vaccinate against it or develop your own immunity to it by getting it. He tells KSL News Radio's Adam Small that a recent exposure at the University of Utah has health officials working around the clock to contact people who may have been exposed to this contagious virus.
Measles is extraordinarily contagious. It is one of the most contagious diseases we know of. And so we contact trace when someone with measles has been in a space. We try to notify people who were in that space at the same time, even across the room, and people who were in the space up to 2 hours after the infected person left the room completely. Measles can linger in the air for up to 2 hours. And so with that degree of contagiousness, with how contagious measles is, we have a lot of people we have to contact in many cases. And so the University of Utah is polling class lists, class rosters to see who was in classrooms at the same time as this infected person. As you probably saw on the list, there were some sort of larger areas like the Union Building and things like that. And so because there's not a roster, a list of people who may have been in that building at that specific time, that's why we like to do a broad notification to the community and just say, hey, if you were in that building or if you were at that particular store during this time frame, that's when measles may have been lingering in the air. And we don't have really specific numbers because of that broad exposure possibility in some of those more mass gathering type locations.
Rupp says, unfortunately, people who may have been exposed at the U are past the point of getting a post-exposure vaccine. So it's super important for unvaccinated people who may have come in contact with measles to quarantine for 21 days. And if you start showing symptoms of measles, Rupp says, please don't go to your doctor, urgent care, or the hospital.
So if you have symptoms, you've been in that space, you're unvaccinated, the first thing you want to do is call your healthcare provider. Do not show up at their office. We have a number of exposures in the community because people who have measles show up for care and they expose an entire waiting room. So it's important that if you think you have measles, if you know you've been in one of those locations at those dates and times, so you know you've been exposed, you're not vaccinated, and you end up with red eyes, runny nose, fever, those sorts of cold-like symptoms, call your healthcare provider so they can give you instructions on how to get the care you need in a way that will not expose others in the community.
Because measles is so contagious, Rupp says we need 95% of our population to be vaccinated to have herd immunity. He says he fears many people will get sick or even die of measles before we see vaccination rates go up again. It's 1:30, midday at KSL News Radio. I'm Maria Shilaos. Some of the stories we are watching this hour. New report showing that young men are being demoralized. We'll have an in-depth conversation on what this means for society. Tons of special programming on KSL this weekend for General Conference. We're going to get a preview on a special about young adults and faith, plus a look at a special that looks at the life and ministry of President Dallin H. Oaks. And KSL traffic, Cormac.
A crash on northbound I-15 in Murray causing heavy delays. Maria?
You can expect the snow showers to stick around for the rest of the day, decreasing tomorrow, but the Easter weekend looks really nice with the high on Saturday at 58 degrees. It's 1:30.
This is a special report from ABC News. I'm Michelle Franzen. After being fired as Attorney General, Pam Bondi says she is eternally grateful to President Trump. Bondi also touted the Justice Department's record under her tenure. Even though sources tell ABC News President Trump grew frustrated over Bondi's handling of the Epstein files and losing key cases against his perceived political enemies. Todd Blanche, the Deputy Attorney General, now serving as acting AG. ABC News Chief Justice Correspondent Pierre Thomas has details.
Todd Blanche, the acting Attorney General, is a person who has, played a key role in the DAG position, Deputy Attorney General. They essentially run the building on a day-to-day basis in terms of major cases. So there will be a relatively smooth transition in that regard. But there are major issues that the Justice Department has to confront, and now there will be for Todd Blanche to deal with, as well as the politics.
Bondi is the second cabinet member ousted from their roles in a matter of weeks. This is ABC News.
KSL's top local story. UDOT has announced that vacationers, worshipers, and traffic closures will cause extremely heavy traffic this weekend. KSL News Radio's Cameron Elliott has details.
A set of planned ramp closures on I-215's West Belt, combined with General Conference, spring break, and 5 school districts going on break this weekend, will cause traffic that UDOT says could cause up to 60 minutes of delays. Nicole McCleary from UDOT says some bad delays are also expected on US 6, where they're working on lane expansion. But the very worst will be Sunday afternoon into Sunday evening on northbound I-15 between Spanish Fork and Nephi, where delays are expected to be up to an hour.
McCleary says the inconvenience while they repair roads now will have some communities save commuters from future pains because of degraded roads. Other local stories KSL is following. More people in Utah are warming up to the idea of women in blue-collar work. KSL News Radio's Brianna Willis has more.
Utah is usually thought of as a conservative and traditional state, but in a 2024 survey done by Utah State University, nearly 80% of respondents say trade work is a good career for women to be in. Despite the attitude shift, there are still several barriers to entry for women in the work field. Bias on the job, uncertainty on how to gain training, and reliable childcare are some of the biggest hurdles women have to jump to enter the blue-collar workforce.
The USU study shows that while the number of women in the male-dominated workforce is still small, it's steadily growing, and this study will help shape future policies and decision-making. Taking a look at your money at this moment, the Dow losing a little more ground. It's now down by 108 points, down nearly 0.25%, sitting at 46,456. S&P down by 8 points, the NASDAQ down by 27. Traffic and weather is brought to you by UCCU. Earn 4.24% on savings at uccu.com. Here's Cormac Bone.
We do still have this crash on northbound I-15 just after 4500 south in Murray, blocking a right lane and shoulder, causing those heavier delays reaching back to the south interchange. Southbound I-15 also seeing some delays at the south interchange reaching down into Midvale. We also have heavy delays both directions on 90th South approaching Redwood Road. I'm Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
And still a 90% chance of a rain-snow mix throughout this evening. Tomorrow, that chance of showers decreasing to 20%, and then a very nice weekend ahead. A high of 58 on Saturday, 66 degrees on Sunday. 37 degrees now at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Kitchen and bath transformations start with AMC Building Materials.
AMC Building Materials is a large kitchen cabinet and countertop supplier serving both wholesale and retail customers. AMC offers factory direct pricing on all interior remodeling materials, giving you exceptional value without sacrificing quality. Most standard items are available for quick payment and pickup right away. AMC Building Materials provides professional service, free design, and free on-site measurements, along with expert installation by top AMC professionals. From bold kitchen designs to beautiful functional bathrooms, AMC delivers outstanding value with styles you'll love. And best of all, most projects can be completed within just 10 days. Come experience beauty you can see, quality you can feel, and service you can trust. Get directions to the new AMC Building Materials showroom at 3678 South 700 West today and schedule your free estimate. Visit amckitchenslc.org. That's amckitchenslc.org.
My friend Joey loves to use old familiar sayings.
You know what they say?
The problem is,
don't look at a gift horse, cause you can't make them drink.
He gets a lot of them mixed up.
People who live in glass houses,
here it comes,
shouldn't cry over spilt milk.
There are also a lot of sayings in the financial world, like, you'll pay lower taxes in retirement. But for many people, it's just not true. You may have done a great job saving in that 401k or IRA, but Uncle Sam is ready to grab a big portion of that money. The team at Galileo Wealth Management can help with strategies that you can start now to lower your tax bill in the future. More for you and less for Uncle Sam.
Or as they say, an apple a day is worth two in the bush.
Get the facts on your tax bill in retirement. Call Galileo Wealth today at 385-247-7000. It's 385-247-7000 or online at GalileoWealth.com.
And remember, a stitch in time keeps the doctor away. Does, you know.
You're listening to Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. Fewer and fewer young men are working full-time, and it's contributing to issues not only among men, but within families, society, and among women as well. That's part of the finding of a new report which puts it plainly, men without work, purpose, or a family to provide for tend to flounder. And when men flounder, the women in their lives suffer and their communities suffer. The wreckage is shared. An op-ed in the Deseret News dug into this idea of young men being demoralized. This segment, we wanted to spend some time on this idea. Joining me live on Midday is Michael Toscano, Senior Fellow at the Institute for Family Studies and one of the authors of this report. Michael, tell us what's changed in society that has caused young men to flounder.
Thanks, Maria. One of the overarching findings of the report on this particular question is that the script that we provide young men in order to work their way and to become adults is under tremendous revision. So it's a commonplace of social science for the last several decades that things which used to be the most important markers of adulthood, such as getting married or becoming a father, had been pushed down on the list of important things, and they were replaced by educational attainment, college education. And in our survey, we did a survey of 2,000 young men ages 18 to 29 nationwide. We found that now things have changed so much that even college education has gone far down on the list. And what young men value the most right now appears to be personal independence and financial independence. So the story for what it means to be an adult for young men is dramatically changing, and they're trying to find their place in that new world.
How has this shift in how they feel about education impacting them when it comes to the job market? Fairly substantially. That the sense among young men in our sample, even those that are college educated, that a college education has enduring value for them as they make their way into the job market is declining, significantly. So I think in our sample, it was just about 50% of even young men who graduated with a Bachelor's of Arts said that going to college was worth it for them. And many of them imagined
the opportunity potentially to find alternate pathways to good work. And in fact, one exciting finding was that young men who had successfully graduated from trade school, who had completed trade school, were just about as likely to be in a stable job as young men who graduated from college. And obviously, there's a tremendous amount of economic shakeup right now with the advent of artificial intelligence and automation and how that might affect white-collar work, which is obviously one of the primary benefits of going to a college is access to a white-collar job. So the fact that young men are now actually open potentially to other pathways is probably been forced on them by the realities of the market itself, but also is a good sign of their openness to trying new things.
Mm-hmm. One of the things that you talk about in influencing families is how men or young men feel about romance and relationships. Talk to us about how they feel about those things.
Yeah, so this is another one of those areas where there's a mixture of good signs and bad signs. There are marriage among all Americans, males and females, is as you well know, Maria, is down. And so our assumption, also the story that we tell about young men today, is that they don't want romance. They just want to stay at home. They just want to be on their computer. They want to be playing video games or worse. But that's not exactly what we found. We found that the majority of young men still desire to date and they still desire to marry. So 68% of all of our respondents said that they desired to marry, of those that were unmarried in our sample. Conservatives a little bit more than liberals, but still it was a majority of both groups. So that was, a very exciting finding that they still have what we see as largely pro-social aspirations toward marriage. But the sad reality is that even though they desire it, the trouble is they're having challenge attaining it. Even going on a date, there was this overarching sense that finding somebody that who would be willing to go on a date with them was this extraordinary challenge. So it's this mixture of good and bad once again. Men still want to marry in the large majority of situations, but they're having trouble getting there.
That's interesting, given the number of dating platforms that are out there. Do they not trust the dating platforms, or they just don't think that's a good place to meet someone they'd want to marry?
Yeah, so I mean that's another complicated story where, because of the way in which so much of our social lives have been integrated into various platforms, it turns out that there's a dramatic spike in marriages that are actually formed by dating platforms. But it's quite clear that the overall effect of bringing couples together is just not as strong as, say, prior social institutions which had the power to bring or prospective couples together so that way they could interact with each other, such as through church attendance or other social forms where marriage where you interact with someone from the opposite sex and therefore can potentially find a spouse. So college campus ends up for all of this is perhaps a sign of trouble, but because young men are now doubting the value of college, but college campus ends up being a pretty good place to find a spouse. Whereas these dating apps, they do drive the lion's share of relationships, but they're not able to bear the full load.
Michael, I have about 30 seconds left to talk with you. Can you just kind of give us an idea of what we can do in our society to maybe improve things for young men?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a great question. I think the main thing we wanted to do with this report was to just ask them what they want. And I think the more that we spend time actually believing that young men have positive desires and we let them speak for themselves and we try to build the world where they can be contributors to it, that would be good for all of us.
Michael, appreciate your time. Thank you so much for being with me.
Yeah, thank you, Maria.
Michael Toscano is a senior fellow and director of the Family First Technology Initiative at the Institute for Family Studies. Midday continues in just 60 seconds.
Not sure how to tackle your taxes? Are you sweating the small print? You may be experiencing FOMO, the fear of messing up. The answer? Using TurboTax on Intuit Credit Karma. They help you get your biggest refund, and then we help you do more with it. With a personalized plan designed to help you hit your money goals. It's time to take your taxes to the max. Start filing today in the Credit Karma app.
As a social influencer, my days can be busy. 4 a.m., I hit the gym. 4:32, protein smoothie. 5:08, save time and money bundling my home and auto insurance with Progressive. Wait, if I bundle and save time, what would I do then? Just sit here and reflect? Like, why am I qualified to influence anyone? And how those weights are hollow? And half of my followers are bots.
You could save time and money bundling your home and auto when you switch to Progressive. It's one less thing to worry about during your already busy day. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
This weekend, millions of Latter-day Saints will tune in to hear words and counsel from their church leaders. 4 sessions of General Conference of the Church of Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints will air here on KSL News Radio and on KSL TV. Between those sessions, a special programming will air discussing various topics of faith, community, and hope. One special that will air on KSL TV looks at the life of the newest president of the church, President Dallin H. Oaks. KSL religion specialist Carol Makita has this preview.
President Dallin H. Oaks has become prophet of more than 17.5 million Latter-day Saints around the world.
I'm just sustained by the fact that the Lord has prepared me and now called me to do something, and I don't flinch from that responsibility.
He would say he was prepared as a child for what became a remarkable life.
I remember the goodness of my parents, both my father, who died when I was 7, and my mother, who was my lifelong teacher.
He was graduated from the University of Chicago Law School, where he taught a few years later, and then was named president of BYU in 1971. 10 years later, he was appointed to Utah's Supreme Court.
He was so well respected. Actually, I think it was regarded as an enormous coup that Utah's Supreme Court could bring people of his stature into the work of the court.
3 years after that, he was called as an apostle. An important part of his ministry has been religious freedom.
I call for a global effort to defend and advance the religious freedom of all of the children of God in every nation of the world.
Joining me now in studio is Carol Makita. So, Carol, we heard one of the people that you spoke to for this special. Tell us who you did speak to and kind of what you learned.
There are different segments in this special, and one of them concentrates on President Oaks's legal experience. And so I spoke to a couple of friends who also spend time in that area. And one of them, and you just heard her voice, is former Chief Justice of Utah Supreme Court, Christine Durham. They are very good friends, as well as having spent time on the court together. And Justice Thomas Griffith, also a very good friend, circuit court judge in Washington, D.C. And they could speak to their experience with him, his legal mind, his insights, his love of the law. And I think it's interesting because I think many people do this in their lives. His favorite time of his career was as a justice of Utah Supreme Court. He has said that. It's a little more than 3 years. And then all of a sudden, he does a 180 degrees, called as a church leader, and does not look back. And so people are called upon to do those kinds of things in their life. And his life seems to be a model for all of us when life changes and you must go in a different direction. And it's very interesting to hear from his old friends who watched him do that process. Another one I spoke to was Elder Bruce Hafen, who's Emeritus General Authority, but was his assistant when President Oaks was president of BYU. And together they oversaw the creation of the J. Reuben Clark Law School. And then Elder Hafen became a church leader. And so they've spent 50 years knowing one another. And he has watched and observed President Oaks in education and in law, and now as a church leader.
When you speak to these older friends about these 3 different careers, basically, right?
Yes.
What's kind of some of the surprising things that you learn about him as a person?
I think we would not be surprised at how thoughtful he is. But sometimes we will hear people say, I'm only as good as the people around me. And he was, as a law school graduate at the University of Chicago, and then just 4 years later called back to teach there. So there was that experience. But when he came president of BYU, I know how, he says, I think I knew how to envision a law school. But the rest of the university, I needed people around me to help me understand and gain in knowledge. And that is a quality, I think, that he has had all of his life as he's moved from one position to the next. And that's a gift as well.
That certainly is. So tell us where people can catch the special.
This is, I will give you the title, President Dallin H. Oaks, Defender of Faith and Freedom, Sunday at noon on KSL TV and on our KSL Plus app.
All right. Thank you so much,
Thank
Carol.
you, Maria.
Carol Makita, KSL Senior Reporter on Religion and the Arts in studio. After the break, my producer will join me in studio to chat about our General Conference special, looking at young people and religion as a whole. Are younger generations choosing to turn to religion more than previously? For those who are choosing faith, why? We'll give you a preview coming up next. But first, it's traffic on KSL News Radio. It's brought to you by UCCU. Build smart, save big. UCCU, love where you bank. Cormac?
There is still this crash northbound I-15 just after 4500 south in Murray, blocking a right shoulder, causing some pretty heavy delays. Not too far of a stretch, though. We do also have delays on southbound I-215's west belt approaching I-80 in that construction zone. I'm Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
Sign up for KSL Text Alerts. Get breaking news and traffic updates by texting the word news to 57500. Want access to exclusive contests? Text contest to 57500. Jazz fans, text the word jazz for breaking jazz updates. And Cougar fans, text BYU to 57500 for the latest on the Cougars. Message and data rates may apply. Some of the most meaningful jewelry you own isn't new, it's inherited. A ring from a grandmother, a necklace tucked away in a drawer, pieces full of memories, but no longer your style. Duke's Jeweler specializes in reimagining family heirlooms into custom pieces you'll actually wear and love. Duke's on-site jewelers and designers work with you one-on-one to honor the original story while creating something fresh, modern, and uniquely yours. From resetting diamonds into new engagement rings to transforming multiple heirloom pieces into one stunning design, every project is crafted with care, precision, and intention. Don't let meaningful jewelry sit unused. Let it live on beautifully. Visit Duke's Jewelers on Main Street in Springville or online at dukesjewelers.com. Duke's Jewelers, where old stories become new treasures. dukesjewelers.com.
Hello, this is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell. Cordell & Cordell is the largest family law firm in the country with over 35 years of helping clients navigate divorce. If you or someone you care about is facing a family law issue, let us set up a 1-hour Cordell Consult. The Cordell Consult is a meeting with a local attorney who will give you clear guidance about your options, whether it's a separation, a postnuptial agreement, divorce, or custody. Take the first step. Visit CordellCordell.com. That's CordellCordell.com.
It's spring. You get outside and it's obvious your house needs painting. Make an appointment with CertaPro Painters. They'll give you a free estimate quickly and at the right price. And they make the entire process easy with reliable updates and communication. They know how important your home is to you. True professionals, they're committed to quality and exceptional service at the right price. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated, so Schedule your free estimate online at CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C.
We want to talk about SOTA Diet and Nutrition. SOTA stands for state of the art. And Andy and I both let go of massive amounts of weight. You more than me.
70 pounds in 5 months.
And I did 37 pounds in 3 months. And what worked for me was so many things. Talking to a nutritionist every week and having her tell me what to eat. I can do as I'm told.
Yeah.
But I have no clue where to begin.
And I needed the help too. It's just food. There's no pills, no injections. So you learn how to both let go of the weight and then how to keep it off.
So SOTA Diet and Nutrition is a great place to start. But if you started with pills or medications and you find yourself starting to gain some weight back, SOTA Diet and Nutrition is a great way to learn how to have a new relationship with food to go into the future.
You can talk with a nutritionist by calling 866-800-SOTA, S-O-T-A, or you can go to their website, sotadietandnutrition.com.
Join now and your partner joins for free. 2 people, real accountability for the price of 1.
Join us for a short time to have results that last a lifetime.
This is Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. Are young people returning to faith? Is Gen Z coming back to religion? We've heard several anecdotal stories of the last few years, but the data doesn't quite back that up. In a general conference special program here on KSL News Radio this Saturday, I dig into the data and the stories to find out what is driving some young adults to buck the trend and return to faith. Joining me in studio is Midday executive producer and the producer of this special presentation, Andy Cupp. And Andy, we kind of came up with this idea because we were hearing from different religions that they were seeing young adults return. And so we looked at the census data and it didn't match up with what we were hearing. So we kind of wanted to just explore that issue.
Exactly. I mean, earlier, just 20 minutes ago, we talked about young men and the issues that young men are facing. And one of the stories that I kept hearing was that this religious revival amongst young people was being driven by young men. And you're right, the data didn't quite back that up. That doesn't mean that it's not happening anywhere.
Not happening,
of course.
Yes.
And that was one of the things I really appreciated about this special is we talked with a faith leader who said, well, no, I actually kind of am seeing that in my church, that there are more young people coming. But yeah, it was a really interesting look and deep dive that started off with a question that ended up not being exactly accurate of a question, but it helped us to kind of prompt and look in this conversation and talk to young people about why they are religious.
Right. And it was pretty powerful to hear from them, each of them, their stories about how they decided to return to a religion. But one of the things that I thought was really interesting is how much study they've done. I mean, they just haven't started going back to church. They have actually explored it more fully, kind of getting the meaning behind not just going into a church and praying, but kind of understanding the history of the church and all of those things.
Right, kind of developing, their own understanding, their own belief, rather than just relying on someone else.
And they were extraordinary. They were so, it's just really powerful to hear from them.
It is. Let's actually play a clip from one of them. This is from Annalie Howells, and it's her message as a religious young adult. It's her message to people who are not religious.
I really do think that religion brings meaning into people's lives, and when you find that your life feels without purpose, I think it's because religion is what brings that extra purpose. And so yeah, it brings purpose, it brings community, and it brings security for me in my life. And so I would just invite those who aren't religious to seek that out in whatever way it may be. It doesn't have to be, specifically the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. It could be a Catholic church, it could be Protestant, it could be Buddhist, whatever it may be, but to just find that spirituality and find that community.
We really should say that we spoke with 6 young people, 2 from 3 different religions.
I think 7, actually.
7 people.
Yeah,
okay.
seven young adults and then 3 religious leaders.
Exactly. But they were from 3 different religions, just to be clear. And
Yes.
What we were hearing from each of them is really how their journey back to the church has really impacted their lives.
Right. And not only how it's impacted their lives, but what drove them in their journey to begin with. And it was kind of an interesting thing as we talked about what Gen Z is looking for. And what kinds of things are they hoping to actually find in this life? And it was great as we spoke to the three faith leaders, one from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, one from the Greek Orthodox Church, and then one from a non-denominational church called South Mountain Community Church. Each of them had a very similar message that young people are seeking authenticity and they're seeking connection. And they don't quite see that in their normal day-to-day lives. And so in religion, that's where they find that.
It's also interesting, you know that you're going to hear inspirational words from the faith leaders. But I would say that I was actually just as inspired by the words from these young people.
Oh, they were incredibly eloquent. We took together several of their sounds and put them together in this little montage that will be at the end of our special, which airs on Saturday at 1 p.m. here on KSL News Radio, and then we'll have it podcasted. So if you can't tune in at 1, make sure you tune in at 1:55 or so, 1:50, so you can hear their messages there at the end.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The Utah State School Board facing a slew of criticism today over a resolution that some say blurs the line between church and state. Hundreds against the resolution showing up in full force to a board meeting today.
When the Utah State Board of Education officially proclaims that religious people are, quote, the only people capable of sustaining a free nation, unquote, you are harming Utah students. Words matter.
The time is 2 o'clock on Thursday, April 2nd. It's midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. Coming up, we'll get details on what the resolution actually says and how board members are responding to the complaints. Also this hour.
It's a loss not just for me and my students, but for the whole community as a whole, because it's not just my class that is ending, it's the whole program.
As Salt Lake City School District announces a complete cut on their continuing education classes, teachers and students in the 50-plus-year-old program say they are disheartened and disappointed in the move. We'll hear from many of them coming up in 20 minutes. But first, our top stories. The total number of measles cases reported in Utah is now at 559. Local health officials say it's still possible to eradicate the disease again, but they warn it could take a while. KSL News Radio's Adam Small has more.
Nicholas Rupp with the Salt Lake County Health Department tells me the reason measles was declared eradicated from the U.S. more than 25 years ago was because our collective vaccination rate was so high. And he says that's exactly what we need to get back to having herd immunity.
You can either get the disease to be immune to it, or you can be vaccinated against the disease. And we want you to be vaccinated, not get the disease, because vaccinating doesn't carry all of the risks that come with getting the disease.
But Rupp says he thinks there's less trust in public health institutions now than before the COVID-19 pandemic, and now people are getting their vaccine information from unreliable sources. He says it could take months or even years to undo the damage.
Tragically, we'll probably have some folks suffer some really serious consequences from measles infection. Perhaps even some folks die from measles before that public sentiment turns and people are willing to protect themselves and their community through vaccination again.
Adam Small, KSL News Radio.
Our top national story from ABC News. Body camera footage has been released of Tiger Woods' arrest on suspicion of driving under the influence last week.
While he was in the patrol car, he was sweating profusely, it appears. An officer asked Woods if he was cool in the back of the car. He responded, nope. It then appears air conditioning was adjusted to cool him down. This was all part of a larger records release. We are getting hours worth of video from the moments after the crash. During that ride, Woods had some questions for the officer, including how long the detainment process would be.
That is ABC's Perry Russum. Taking a look at your money at this moment, just before the close, markets improving quite substantially. The Dow still ending down by 61 points to end at 46,504. S&P up by 7 points, and the NASDAQ up by 38 points. Traffic and weather, it's brought to you by UCCU. Earn 4.24% on savings at uccu.com. Here's Cormac Bone.
We do still have a crash on northbound I-15 near 4500 South in Murray. They're blocking that right shoulder shoulder, but delays on I-15 scattered in both directions from the south interchange all the way into downtown due to the snowy conditions. We also have heavy delays both north and southbound I-215's westbound at the I-80 interchange, where there was a crash blocking all but one lane for both directions. I'm Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
Right now, we're seeing a good snowstorm downtown, and the snowy, rainy conditions set to continue through the evening, 90% chance. That chance decreasing to a 20% chance of showers tomorrow, and then a very nice weekend ahead. The high on Saturday, 58, Easter Sunday, 66 degrees, and a lot of sunshine. Right now, 37 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
Any Hour Services free furnace sale is going on right now. If you haven't scheduled your free estimate yet, do it now. Call Any Hour Services today or schedule online at anyhourservices.com.
This Friday from 10 to 1, the movie show comes to Sound Sleep. But first, take time to learn about a better night's rest. Sound Sleep delivers oral appliance therapy that treats sleep apnea without the use of CPAP machines. They're professionally fit, warranted, and covered by most major medical insurance. End the days of a poor night's sleep. With offices from Clearfield to St. George, Sound Sleep will help. Call Sound Sleep at 801-716-8672 today.
I didn't realize how bad my windows were until I replaced them. You think your house is fine, and then you sit by a new high-performance window, and suddenly you're not freezing in the winter or baking in the summer. Peach Windows and Doors showed me the difference between builder-grade windows and real performance windows. The glass packages, the seals, the insulation, it's not even close. And here's the part I love. It completely changes the look of the house. Cleaner lines, bigger glass, more light. It instantly feels upgraded. Whether you're building $1 million home or you want yours to look like one, windows matter more than you think. Lower energy bills, more comfort, massive curb appeal. Go see the difference for yourself at peachdoorsandwindows.com or visit their showroom. Trust me, once you see the difference, you can't unsee it. peachdoorsandwindows.com.
I'm Congressman Mike Kennedy. For years, Utah families have paid too much for health care, groceries, and everyday essentials. I'm fighting for health care reform that puts patients first and lowers costs. I'm also working to cut waste, fraud, and abuse in Washington because your tax dollars should be spent wisely. Fiscal responsibility means lower costs and a government that works for you. I'm Mike Kennedy, and I'll keep fighting for Utah families. Paid for by official funds authorized by the House of Representatives.
Thanks for tuning into Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. A resolution from the Utah State Board of Education ruffling feathers today. The separation of church and state called into question at today's school board meeting. The language in the resolution meant to echo the sentiments of America's founding fathers, instead making some people feel that non-religious people are being called immoral in comparison. Joining me now in studio to break it down is KSL News Radio's Heather Peterson. And Heather, so what exactly is this resolution we're talking about?
So this was actually adopted back in February. It's called Resolution 2026-01, and it was put in place in honor of America 250 to affirm the core beliefs of the country's founding fathers. I spoke about it with school board member Joanne Brinton.
The heart of the resolution would be the fact that this is the 250th anniversary for the Declaration of Independence. And we wanted to highlight and call that out and have our schools remember and focus on their commitment to the principles upheld in the Declaration, and that our public education strengthens understanding of America's constitutional heritage.
So looking at the text of the resolution, it affirms things like life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, but it also includes some religious language people aren't too happy about. One section says moral and religious people being, as the founders noted, the only people capable of sustaining a free nation. Another section says religion, morality, and knowledge are necessary to good government and happiness of mankind, and therefore must be encouraged through our schools.
Okay, Heather. So what did people have to say about it at the board meeting today?
So during the public comment period, Douglas Hendricks says he started a petition for them to rescind the language in that resolution.
When the Utah State Board of Education officially proclaims that religious people are, quote, the only people capable of sustaining a free nation, unquote, and then goes on to say the other things that I talked about in my email. You are harming Utah students. Words matter. Students have committed suicide because people in authority told them things like what you said in your resolution.
David Whitaker also spoke out against it at today's meeting.
Your resolution crosses over the church-state separation line for several reasons, and it ought to be rescinded and reworded. Now, I know you meant well about the part that says that this board reaffirms its commitment to the Declaration of Independence, and where it says that the board wants to prepare students to sustain the principles of liberty and equality before the law, etc. If you decide to rescind the resolution and then take out the parts that promote religion over non-religion in direct violation of our nation's Constitution and that send harmful messages to students.
Diane Ritchie is a former social studies teacher, and she's against it as well.
I am an engaged citizen who governs my own conduct according to internal conscience and moral virtue, whose source is not religious. I am alarmed by the language in this resolution, denigrating myself and many, many other citizens, including our students, who do not need lessons in religion in public school. Resolution 2020-601 tells Utah students that non-religious people are morally inferior to religious people. I reject this assertion, and I remind you as public office holders that you do not have a right to claim this. The Founding Fathers were Enlightenment thinkers who had the wisdom to keep religion out of government. The Ten Commandments, Mosaic Law, and the New Testament, in fact, are not the basis for American law and public policy. It is your assertion, not the founders, that religion must be encouraged through our schools. You said it yourselves, respect the rights of conscience. Respect the rights our students have to make up their own minds about religion. Please, I urge you to rescind Resolution 2020-601, and in the future, please refrain from promoting religion being taught in public schools.
Hendrick says his petition to rescind the resolution has about 450 signatures so far. He also presented a lawyer today at the meeting from a letter from a lawyer today, and he called it unconstitutional.
Okay, so what was the board's response to these public comments?
They didn't actually say anything about it at the meeting, but I spoke with board members Brinton as well as board member Jenny Earle about it afterward. Brinton says a lot of the language in the resolution are direct quotes from primary documents like the Declaration of Independence and the Northwest Ordinance of 1787.
Our country was founded as a Christian, Judeo-Christian nation, like on principles that came from the Bible and other things. The Founding Fathers quoted sources. I would encourage you to look at the separation of church and state and what Jefferson meant by that. We are supposed to be non-sectarian so that we do not have one religion pushed over another. But the basic tenets of religion were encouraged by our Founding Fathers and from the beginning, that there's right and wrong, that there's a creator. I don't think there's any danger in going to the primary resources of what our Founding Fathers said and what they looked at, and now it's in our code.
Earle further clarified the historical significance of this language.
I think they're looking at it as an endorsing a specific religion. I don't believe that's the case. I think we're looking at foundational documents. I think we're looking at principles. We're looking at what laid a movement forward. It's not to suggest that there aren't other pieces out there, but these were things that we're maybe asking our schools to kind of take a look at and say, how did these foundational documents, how did they relate to where we're at 250 years later?
The board members say they're appreciative of this public being engaged in the civil discussion. However, they say that this was carefully crafted over a period of time and revised and pared down and then approved unanimously by the board. It would take 3 board members to agree to put it back on the agenda in order for them to bring it back up for discussion.
All right. Thank you, Heather. KSL News Radio's Heather Peterson joining me. Stay with us. We'll be back with more in just 60 seconds.
At Fisher Investments, we may seem like other money managers, but we're different.
Are you really that different than the rest of us?
We are. As a fiduciary, we always focus on what's best for our clients.
What services do you offer besides investing?
We have a team of specialists in financial planning, estate planning, and more.
Your clients rely on you for all that?
Yes, we ensure clients receive unparalleled service at every step of the relationship.
Okay, but you still sell commission-based products, right?
No, because we believe that's a conflict of interest. We prioritize service over sales goals.
So, then how do your fees work?
We have a simple and transparent fee that's a percentage of our clients' portfolios. So we do better when our clients do better.
Wow, we're more different than I thought.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
If you are planning to head out on Utah's roads this weekend, you better prepare for delays. While the rainy weather should move out and the highway should be dry, UDOT is planning on quite an increase in traffic. Between people starting spring break, ending spring break, traveling for Easter, or coming downtown for general conference, there will be a lot of people on the roads. Nicole McCleary is the travel information manager for UDOT.
Really, we just want drivers to be ready for the extra holiday travel. All the nice weather we had last week got a lot of people excited, getting their campers prepped and ready. If you're traveling down south, we've already seen an uptick in people visiting Zion, Moab, and the Arches area. Sometimes delays as high as 25 to 30 minutes to get in and out of those parks.
She tells KSL News Radio's Cameron Elliott that construction will also contribute to potential traffic headaches.
We do have a few ramp closures on our I-215 West project. We're going to have some ramps closed down near the I-80 interchange in the airport, as well as California. These are going to be mostly overnight pours, but we're not expecting too long of delays in the area once they're done with that. The longer delays began on Monday when we closed down the Redwood Road to westbound 80 as well as Redwood Road to I-215 northbound. That's going to be for 30 days. And that is the start of the ramp closures that we'll have this summer. We're going to have more ramps in that little spaghetti bowl as we go into May, June, and July.
And on U.S. Highway 6, McCleary says it'll be a bit of a perfect storm between extra travelers and construction.
I would probably say US 6 at this point. Especially through that last construction project I mentioned, the Chicken Hollow Tie Fork, where they're widening the area to be multiple lanes through there. Right now, they just have it down to 1 and 2 lanes, so that does cause a bit of a bottleneck through there coming back into Spanish Fork.
Her message to drivers, take your time, buckle up, and try to drive stress-free. Cybersecurity experts warning that scammers are using voice phishing, also called vishing, to trick people into giving up sensitive information. KSL investigator Matt Gephardt has the warning and how you can protect yourself.
It's called voice phishing, and cybersecurity experts say this is one of the fastest growing scams out there.
It starts with an unexpected message.
So all of a sudden, you see that your mailbox is like flooded with a ton of messages. People in that mindset, they're panicking. They're like, what's going on?
And then that's the moment when the attacker picks up the phone and calls you.
Matt, I'm calling from your IT help desk. Your account is under attack right now.
Phew, this Matt person might be thinking. An IT hero ready to save the day.
You're kind of thinking, you're like, oh, I'm so relieved, right? Someone's here to help you.
Then comes the ask. Codes, passwords, access. And this is just one of the ideations the so-called voice phishing con can take, says Sandy Liao, the co-founder and chief product officer of Fable Security. Sometimes they are trying to breach your company. Sometimes they are trying to breach you. The KSL investigators have reported on people who are lulled into making bad decisions, thinking that they are, say, talking to their bank's fraud department when they're actually talking to a crook. So how do you protect yourself?
It's totally okay to just hang up.
And if you're worried, verify independently that the person contacting you is who they say they are by reaching out to them directly.
You should know that your IT help desk more often than not, they will be so relieved that you actually took the time to verify rather than, just go for it.
And reporting in this space, I have spoken to several major banks and tech companies about these scams. They all say the same thing. They will never call you and ask for your security codes.
Is KSL investigator Matt Gephardt reporting. Get more tips on how to protect your security by going to ksltv.com and clicking on Investigates at the top of the page. One Utah school district is ending its community education programs after more than 50 years of teaching local adults. We'll hear from those involved in the program who say they are saddened by the decision and a lack of discussion. That's coming up after the break, but first it's traffic on KSL News Radio. It's brought to you by UCCU. Build smart, save big with construction loans at UCCU. Cormac?
Scattered delays on I-15 both directions from Midvale all the way into downtown, and we also have some congestion at the I-80 215 Westbelt interchange where we did have a crash blocking both directions. Now just one northbound near 700 North on the right shoulder. No matter while you're planning your day, plan for comfort too with the Good Feet store. Find the location nearest you at goodfeet.com. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
If you have something special coming up this summer that you'd like to take a few extra pounds off for, or maybe you have a major event, a wedding of a child, or maybe you're getting married, a lot of people are hesitant to start a weight loss program because they're just tired of working hard to take that weight off and then gain it back. I understand this frustration. I've been telling you for the past couple of years how I was able to lose more than 40 pounds with the help of Salt Lake City Fat Loss, but that wasn't before going through several other programs and losing the weight and gaining it back. SLC Fat Loss, it's different than other programs. It not only educates you, but it gives you the resources necessary to keep the weight off. It's doctor developed. It's a 60-day program. It's all natural. There are no injections or medications. You eat just regular food that you buy at the grocery store. And since you don't have to buy breakfast bars or any sort of meals, it's less expensive than other programs. Plus, they have a great app that keeps you accountable and allows you to ask questions at any time. I've lost more than 40 pounds. Many of their clients lose up to a pound per day. Learn more at slcfatloss.com. That's slcfatloss.com, slcfatloss.com.
Doug Wright here with Monty at Connecticut Quality Water Systems of Salt Lake, an authorized independent dealer. Monty, give it to me straight. Why is Connecticut the premium choice over those standard electric softeners?
Doug, it comes down to this. Do you want an appliance you have to babysit? Standard water softeners have microprocessors and computers that need setting and adjustment, and they use a lot more salt. So you get to haul 40-pound bags of salt down to your basement every month or so.
And Connecticut?
Zero electricity, zero timers to reset, zero downtime, and uses 70% less salt. It's a higher standard of engineering that completely removes the hassle of owning a water softener.
That's what I love about my Connecticut. Dee and I never have to even think about it. We occasionally add a bag of salt and it just works, and I've never had to set or adjust anything. Do what I did and get the one that just works. Find out how soft your water could be at softwaterutah.com. That's softwaterutah.com.
Most financial advisors only manage your money. They refer you out for taxes. They refer you out for estate planning. They refer you out when things get complicated. Did they really vet that person? Or did they meet once, exchange business cards, and call it a partnership? A referral isn't accountability. It's a handoff. When your investments, taxes, and estate plan are built separately, gaps happen, and those can cost money. At Trajan, we didn't build a referral network. We built a family office for all. Wealth, tax, estate. One team delivering coordinated planning, once reserved for the ultra-wealthy. If you want real coordination and not just introductions, call Trajan Wealth today. Call Trajan today at 801-207-9900. That's 801-207-9900. 801-207-9900. That's 801-207-9900.
Advisory services through Trajan Wealth, LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor. Other services through Trajan Estate and Trajan Tax. Additional disclosures at TrajanWealth.com.
Alpine Home Medical, we bring wellness home.
Hey folks, Jay Broadbent here from Alpine Home Medical. I've been helping folks breathe easier for 29 years now. Trust me, at my age, I know a thing or two about needing a good night's sleep. Is your CPAP mask old and nasty? Are your masks, filters, or tubing from the pre-COVID era? Or just plain tired of the hassle of ordering supplies yourself? Switch to our resupply program. We handle everything, automatic shipment straight to your door, insurance billing, and expert support. It's quick, easy, and keeps your sleep therapy on track. Doesn't matter where you got your machine from, anyone can join. Head to alpinehomemedical.com, click on the Easy Resupply button. That's alpinehomemedical.com.
Alpine Home Medical, we bring wellness home.
Everything to my back is dark.
High in the alpine wilderness,
The ridgeline is imposing the escarpments, the drops.
a place where survival
It's dark now. I have nothing.
is never certain. In 2011, an Australian hiker vanished.
Did he really make a wrong turn, or did he decide that he was done?
You have done this walk too, but this is your backyard.
The mountains have decided to keep him.
Find and follow the podcast series Uinta Triangle, wherever you get your podcasts.
You are listening to Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. Students, teachers, and staff at the Salt Lake City School District's continuing education program voicing sadness and frustration today after news came out that the program would end in June. The program, which is open to local residents and focused mostly on adults, has been running for more than 50 years at East, West, and Highland high schools. It's featured a wide variety of classes open to the public for a small fee, including real estate, dance, languages, welding, music, finance, and so much more. Martina Sprague is originally from Sweden and has been teaching Swedish through the community education program for 8 years now.
I retired from my job with Delta Airlines, and I thought I need to do something to bring the community together, do some community service, and I thought about what kind of qualifications do I have, and what makes me different. And then I remembered that I grew up in Sweden, and I speak perfect Swedish, and I thought maybe somebody wants to learn Swedish, because usually you can find, we have a lot of Spanish-speaking people, so you can find a lot of Spanish classes, and I even taken classes before in Mandarin Chinese and one class in German, but I had never seen a Swedish class. So I contacted the Salt Lake School District and asked them and proposed a schedule for it and some practice lessons, and they said that in all this time they had never before had anybody ask about a Swedish class. So they said it will be really interesting. So they said, let's try it. And for 8 years, the class has run constantly, except for one semester during COVID when the school district was closed. But other than that, I have always had between 8 and 12 students per class.
She says to her knowledge, there are no other Swedish language or culture classes along the Wasatch Front.
I have not been able to find any other Swedish classes in the area. So I think that there will be demand. There are a lot of people, not just here, but in the United States in general, that have Swedish ancestry. So there's always seems to be an interest in Swedish and learning Swedish. And it's not only with the mostly language, but we also talk about some cultural issues and traditions in Sweden.
Longtime students like Hank Perry are also saddened to hear the news. He tells KSL that he's particularly upset about the program ending because it's a struggle to find classes, especially community-oriented ones for older adults.
I think it's going to have to me, it's going to have a bigger impact because we've been attending and taking classes for a while. I took a cooking class back in 1990, which I unfortunately didn't learn a lot, but
I was going to say, maybe you're still enjoying the fruits of that labor, but okay.
But, there's so many classes offered. They just started a stained glass class here at West this session, and which perked me because I thought, oh, good. Maybe I can get involved in that in the fall when they start things up again, too. But there's, all kinds of dance classes, from belly dancing to Scottish dancing to ballet, all kinds of language arts classes and other crafts classes. So it offers a lot, I think, to the adult community that still want to learn, that still feel like we're 18 years old and want to take advantage of it.
At West High School, Mariella Miranda is the community center supervisor. She's fairly new to the position and says she's sad to lose the opportunity to really help it grow and flourish. She says the classes have been great for the community, for people who just wanted to try something new and different.
I think overall how accessible these classes are. They're fairly, they're not that expensive, so it's really easy to just sign up for a class, something that you're thinking of taking, something that you've always thought about, never did. Give yourself a shot for something you don't even know that you're good at, and make it affordable was really nice to have.
In a statement given to KSL, the Salt Lake City School District says the programs use resources that could be better allocated to younger students, those in pre-K through 12th grade. A district spokesperson says they're trying to be good financial stewards of their limited resources and determined that since this program was outside of the mission of the district, that it would be necessary to close it at the end of this school year. Now, they note that this closure does not impact the community education after school program. While she's obviously sad to lose her Swedish class, Martina Sprague tells Midday's Andy Cupp that she's especially sad to lose the community aspect of the program.
I think particularly in now when there's so much political upheaval and people have so many different political views, that it's particularly important to bring people together from different backgrounds where we can forget about all these problems in politics and in society. And since the Granny School District already ended their program 8 years ago. And now Salt Lake, which is the biggest school district, is ending the program. There really isn't any more opportunities for us. The University of Utah have some classes, but they seem to be much more expensive. It's also farther away, and it's much more difficult to get up there with parking and other administrative issues and so. So it really leaves us at a loss, but there's not much else to turn to. So it's a loss, not just for me and my students, but for the whole community as a whole, because it's not just my class that is ending, it's the whole program.
Supporters of the program plan to attend the school district's next board meeting on April 14th in hopes of persuading the district and the school board to change course and keep the program alive. It's 2:30 midday at KSL News Radio. I'm Maria Shilaos. Some of the stories we are watching this hour. On this one-year anniversary of President Trump's Liberation Day, we're taking a deep dive into the effect of tariffs over the last year and how Utahns feel about it. With the economy all over the place recently, we're also looking at ways that each of you can save some money here and there. And KSL traffic, Cormac.
Heavy delays due to winter weather, both directions on I-80 through Parley's Canyon and I-215's eastbound. I'm Cormac Bone. Maria.
Thank you, Cormac. And that winter weather is set to continue through this evening. 90% chance of a rain snow mix, decreasing to 20% tomorrow. KSL's top local stories in 1 minute. It's 2:30.
ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. Pam Bondi is out as Attorney General. President Trump announcing the change on social media and says Deputy AG Todd Blanche will act as Attorney General now. ABC's Jonathan Karl says Trump became frustrated over Bondi's handling of the Epstein files and her role in prosecuting his perceived political enemies.
And in terms of the handling of the Epstein files, this has really been a frustration throughout the administration. Many people in the president's inner circle just unhappy with how she has handled it, thinking that it's been a PR disaster, including her recent testimony on Capitol Hill.
Oil prices surging today after President Trump's address last night, signaling that Iran could face more military strikes on its energy and oil infrastructure if it doesn't make a deal. President Trump today signing orders to impose 100% tariffs on patented pharmaceuticals not made in the U.S. and a 50% tariff for commodity steel and aluminum. This is ABC News.
KSL's top local story, vacations and roadwork may have you rethinking your driving plans this weekend.
Traffic was bad last weekend when two Wasatch Front school districts went on spring break at the same time. But with the closure of a handful of ramps, General Conference, Easter Sunday, and 5 more districts on break, traffic this weekend could be worse. Nicole McCleary from UDOT says tourism to the national parks will make southern Utah roads particularly cramped.
If you're traveling down south, we've already seen an uptick in people visiting Zion, Moab, and the Arches area. Sometimes delays as high as 25 to 30 minutes to get in and out of those parks. And then going through US 6, we also have some construction at the Chicken Hollow area, which is just east of US 89 Junction.
Delays on the major highways in southern Utah could range from 20 to 60 minutes tomorrow through Sunday. Cameron Elliott, KSL News Radio.
Other local stories KSL is following. A team at Utah State University is working to develop a disaster risk tool specifically for Utah. USU Associate Professor Philip Fernberg says disasters here often behave differently than the national models.
Wildfire debris flows, for example, make flash floods look very differently here than they do east of the Mississippi. Or an earthquake along our mountainous fault lines where we have a lot of infrastructure will behave very differently than it would in other places.
Fernberg says the real value of this work is helping decision makers see the full picture future. The group's goal is to create a risk matrix that is easy to understand. Taking a look at your money at this moment, the Dow is down 61 points at the close to end at 46,504. S&P, though, was up by 7. The NASDAQ up by 38 points. Traffic and weather together. It's brought to you by UCCU. Earn 4.24% on savings at uccu.com. Cormac?
Weather affecting the west side of the Salt Lake County and into Summit County. We do have heavier delays, especially westbound I-80 through Parley's Canyon due to that snowy condition. And I-215's east belt also seeing some bogged down traffic both directions due to that wintry snow. We also have southbound I-15 delays in place from Murray about down to 90th South. Did the heavy rain cause a leak in your home? S&S Roofing offers protection with high-quality roofing, expert repairs, and durable materials. Visit snsroofingutah.com for your free quote today. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
Today's high temperature, I think we've already experienced the high, and it dropped recently, but it's 50 degrees, 49 for tomorrow. Then the temperature gradually going up. Nice weekend, 58 on Sunday, 58 Saturday, 66 on Sunday, then back up into the 70s for next week. 33 degrees right now, though, at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
Hi, Flo here from Progressive. You know, life changes quickly, so it's good to have flexible coverage.
Oh, you mean like adding another vehicle?
Yes, that's something we can do.
Great, because I was thinking about getting a van so we could just keep the kids' softball stuff in the car.
Oh, we don't need to get into specifics. Just saying it's easy to change.
Oh, and Hannah wants to try the tuba.
Again, we don't need the specifics.
Last year, she wanted to be a tap dancer, but that only lasted 2 lessons.
Okay.
But she kept the shoes because they are adorable.
Well, just know that with Progressive, you can easily add another car to your auto insurance because we know life changes.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Not sure how to tackle your taxes? Are you sweating the small print? You may be experiencing FOMO, the fear of messing up. The answer? Using TurboTax on Intuit Credit Karma. They help you get your biggest refund, and then we help you do more with it with a personalized plan designed to help you hit your money goals. It's time to take your taxes to the max. Start filing today in the Credit Karma app.
If you've saved more than $300,000, there's one thing you can do now that can make your savings go twice as far in retirement, and it's tax planning. That's right. Tax planning could significantly reduce the taxes on your IRA and 401k withdrawals, Social Security benefits, and other investment income. Find out how much money you could save with a free retirement tax savings analysis from the good people at Boss Retirement Solutions. To schedule your free analysis, call 801-896-9622. Tax planning for retirement could reduce your taxes not just for 1 year, but for the rest of your life. And the savings could be 6 figures. Let's find out how much money you could save. Call 801-896-9622. 801-896-9622.
For informational purposes only, actual results may vary. No statement contained herein shall constitute tax, legal, or investment advice. Advisory services offered through Boss Retirement Advisors, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Insurance products and services offered through Boss Retirement Solutions.
You are listening to Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. Today, the one-year anniversary of President Trump's so-called Liberation Day, when the president slapped tariffs on the world. The president promised that tariffs would make America wealthy again, but economists have cast doubt on the plans from the very beginning. Now, with the year in the rearview mirror, how are Americans feeling about the tariffs? Professor of Economics at the University of Tennessee at Knoxville, Michael Kofed, joined Inside Sources today to share his expert analysis.
What's happened, and this is what's important for folks to know, is that the administration proposed these tariffs. And I remember we were having these huge numbers, like 100% taxing islands that only had penguins on them, taxing our allies. And then over the last year, there's been a very quietly as a lot of those big numbers have been pared down. And so a lot of times that the administration said we're going to do something and then never followed through, or they found some kind of off-ramp. And so that's why what the history of the last year has been one for the record books of on again, off again. Is it high? Is it low? We're going to tariff Canada because we did something we didn't like. And it's just been kind of a roller coaster this week or this year in international trade.
We asked you to chime in and talk about the impact that you have seen because of the tariffs. And listener Tommy called in to share his thoughts with Holly Richardson and Greg Skordas.
Last year, I've seen the decrease in the freight that I'm hauling to, especially retailers. And I just don't understand the tariffs. I just feel that nobody is going to build new factories here knowing we'll have a new president soon, and they'll probably lift the tariffs. I just don't understand it. And as a truck driver, not a business owner, I see the effect of the tariffs in my paycheck because I'm not delivering as much as I used to. Yeah, well, you see the prices of fuels, and I don't know that the tariff has effects on that, but my prices increased by $200 every time I fuel up.
And thanks for chiming in with your takes, Tommy. As we look back on the last year of the economy, we also have to look ahead and what's in store for the future of these tariffs. For that perspective, I spoke with Michael DeGrone, Senior Fellow for Economic Opportunity at the Center for American Progress.
So what the Supreme Court did was rule against the president's use of a particular authority, an emergency law that historically has not been used to justify tariffs. It's been used to do things like sanctions against other countries and things like that. And he invoked it here to justify all of these tariffs. But there are tariffs that were not. For example, steel and aluminum and lumber, which are very important and costly tariffs that affect all manners of industries, affect home building. Those were using a different authority where he was required to produce some study and analysis before he could do it. Those tariffs are still in place. The tariffs that were affected were those Liberation Day tariffs where they published this schedule that had a certain percentage tariff for Vietnam versus one for Cambodia versus one for European countries. Think of that iconic White House announcement where he had a couple of poster board charts behind him with all the different country by country tariffs. Those tariffs have been rendered illegal, and he never had the authority to issue those. But we still have a bunch of those other tariffs still in place. But then what the president did was turn around after facing that defeat and has invoked a different authority, Section 122 of the Trade Act, that allows for a limited time period for tariffs to be imposed. And so he has imposed a 10% across-the-board tariff, trying to cover the same breadth that he covered under the emergency tariffs. But they can only be in place for 150 days from when he imposed them, which I believe was about a month ago. And he said he would do that while his administration identifies these other authorities to try and make them permanent. So these tariffs seem likely to expire in a couple of months, but they plan to then replace them with these using these other authorities. And so that's two things. That one is a commitment to keep these tariffs in place, and there in fact are tariffs in place right now that will be costing businesses money. But then there's just continued uncertainty. What are those tariffs ultimately under these other authorities going to look like? Will there be legal challenges? Will there be exemptions? And so for businesses, that Supreme Court decision wasn't some kind of relief. It was just another turn on the roller coaster, another turn on the tariff roller coaster, because they still now have to read the news and watch and see the developments and see if these tariffs are replaced with another type of tariff, let alone this question of refunds. Because what the Supreme Court said was these tariffs were never legal. And so there's more than $100 billion that were collected. I think about $175 billion in tariffs that were collected illegally. They were never legal. And so the business owners who paid them are entitled to refunds, and the president and the administration have released no plan on that, and there's likely to be litigation over it. And so we'll see what happens. There's just a lot more uncertainty for businesses, and those costs are still there.
Senior Fellow for Economic Opportunity at the Center for American Progress, Michael Negrone there. In just 60 seconds, we're going to stay on the topic of money and get tips on how you can weather the economic uncertainties and even save a little along the way. Stay with us.
It was opening night at Hale Center Theater for The Hunchback of Notre Dame, Victor Hugo's classic tale. I was with my son, Ian, and it was nothing short of spectacular. The staging, the costuming, the music, it's simply breathtaking. And, of course, the actors and the voices. You have to see The Hunchback of Notre Dame. It's on the main stage right now at Hale Center Theater. So many of the scenes are never to be forgotten. For example, when Frollo is just struggling with his passion for Esmeralda and his soul, the flames and the tension on the stage is unbelievable. And to see the hunchback up in the tower with the bells, don't miss Hunchback of Notre Dame. It's underway right now at Hale Center Theater. And continuing, Peter Pan Goes Wrong, that's on the Jewel Box stage, and Hallmarked on the Beehive stage. Get your tickets now, hct.org. Don't miss the Hunchback of Notre Dame.
With all this talk of tariffs and inflation, how can you stay ahead of changing costs? As the economy ebbs and flows and the markets rise and fall, how can you continue to save money in this day and age? For tips, I turn to Shika Narula, Head of Consumer Deposit Products, Transformation and Rewards of Bank of America.
Yeah, so I think in the current economic environment, consumers can use a lot of tools that are available. They need to pay themselves first automatically. So, what this means is set up recurring automatic transfers from your checking to your savings accounts so the money moves before you have a chance to spend it. There are other tools such as Bank of America's Keep the Change program that automatically rounds your Visa debit card purchases up to the nearest dollar amount and transfers the change from your checking to your savings account. So I think in the current environment, consumers can take advantage of such tools to help themselves save more automatically on an ongoing basis.
Right. Are there some things that people should think about when they have big savings goals? Like, for example, they want to buy a home or a car, things that they can do to save for those things?
Yeah, I think when it comes to the larger goals, whether it's down payment on a home, dream wedding, the car you talked about, I think it's important to break it down into smaller, more manageable milestones. And then, set deadlines for those milestones. And as you make progress against it, take the time to celebrate it. The other thing I would say is, connect each of those goals to a dedicated savings account. So that way you're keeping money separate from your checking account, and that removes the temptation from spending it. And then you can see yourself make progress against those goals. And then smaller adjustments can add up over time. So, if you have any, smaller, easy to overlook expenses like subscriptions you haven't been using, ride share for smaller distances, if you can cut back or pull back from some of these easy to overlook items, every small thing helps you make progress against those larger goals.
Now, while we're trying to cut back and still trying to save for some of these larger goals, can we still enjoy some small treats? I mean, what are some of the ways we could still do that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think nearly half of Americans, according to Bank of America data, say that they tend to prioritize spending on day-to-day treats and experiences over savings for the future. So, the desire for those smaller things isn't going away, and that's fine. But instead of cutting them entirely, just scale them back intentionally. So maybe it's the latte on Fridays instead of daily, or maybe, find a low-cost version of something that you love. And then I say we have the 50-30-20 budgeting framework. So look at your spending, allocate 50% of your after-tax income to cover things like your rent, 30% towards, things that I would call wants, or, those joy categories of whether it's eating out with your loved ones or, hobbies that you have, and then keep 20% allocated towards savings. So I think some of these habits can help you save for your objectives.
What would you say to those folks who just think that they can't save? They just don't have enough money right now to save. How would you inspire them to set aside a little bit?
Every little small step counts. Like I said, make those small adjustments, adjust your spending. So separate the expenses you can't control from the ones that you can. So rather than overhauling everything at once, identify those small 1 or 2 categories where you can make an adjustment, right? Like maybe dining out or entertainment or that subscription you haven't been using. And these small adjustments and trimming 1 or 2 meals per week instead of going out if you were to cook at home, I think can free up cash and help with saving. So start with the baby steps.
So what is America Saves Week, and where can people learn more information?
Yeah, America Saves is a nonprofit organization that encourages Americans to save, reduce debt, and help develop healthy financial habits. So America Saves Week starts next week with the theme Own Your Financial Story, Small Steps, Big Impact. You can learn more by visiting americasavesweek.org, or listeners can go to bettermoneyhabits.com for more financial guidance.
Shika Narula is the head of Consumer Deposit Products Transformation and Rewards at Bank of America. One man going out of his way to support cats with his own creation, the Cadirondack. You want to stick around for this sweet story, but first, let's go to traffic. It's brought to you by UCCU. Build smart, save big. UCCU. Love where you bank. Cormac?
Heavy delays on our freeways due to wintry conditions, especially I-80 through Parley's Canyon. Both directions slow approaching the summit, and westbound slow from the summit to about Mountain Dell. Southbound I-15 seeing slowdowns from Murray all the way down to 90th South, and both directions congested at Bangerter Highway. We do have a crash eastbound I-215 South Belt just before Highland Drive, blocking a left lane and shoulder. No matter the weather, your feet can feel fantastic. Find the Good Feet location nearest you at goodfeet.com. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
I'm back to doing what I love and more, thanks to the Good Feet store.
Does it feel like someone's stabbing a knife into your heel? Or does your lower back give you problems as the day goes on? The Good Feet store wants to help you, like we helped Ann.
Every time I stood up, pain just shot up my legs. Fortunately, I found the Good Feet store. I went to them after my doctor diagnosed me with plantar fasciitis. And now, thanks to the Good Feet store, I'm 100%.
Wouldn't it be nice to get back to doing what you love, like Patrick did?
I was in constant pain. Somehow my fiance and I found our way into the Good Feet store. Put my foot on the arch support system. I put them in my shoes, my back, my knees, my ankles. Thank you. Thank you, everybody at the Good Feet store. You gave me my active life back.
Learn more or schedule an appointment at goodfeet.com and come in and get your free personalized fitting at the Good Feet store. We have locations in Farmington, Riverton, and Sandy.
Thanks to the Good Feet store.
Looking for something fun to win this week? Head to ksl.com/win and enter now. We're giving you the chance to score tickets to the Disney Worlds Collide concert tour, rock out at the Guess Who tour, or visit Titanic the exhibition for a walk through history. It's quick, easy, and free to enter. So don't miss out. Visit ksl.com/win today and see what you could be winning this week. ksl.com/win. Good luck.
Gold demand is skyrocketing to record highs. As more Americans rush to preserve their savings, will there be enough gold? I'm Dr. Ron Paul, and I believe physical gold is the only way to truly protect your 401k or IRA savings. Gold offers tangible security that can't be tracked, stolen, or inflated. That's why I strongly advocate for gold IRAs. To learn more, text the word SECURE to 989898 now. Birch Gold Group will send you a free info kit on gold IRAs. Birch Gold is the only gold company I trust, and their thousands of great reviews prove I'm not alone. So don't wait another second. Protect your retirement savings today and see how easy it is to move your IRA or 401k into physical precious metals. Text SECURE to the number 989898 for your free gold IRA info kit. Again, SECURE to 989898.
Message and data rates may apply.
Dear Linex, 8 years ago when I bought one of your spray-on truck bed liners, I started my construction business, then landscaping, then there were the camping trips. But even after all that, my Linex spray-on bed liner still looks great. Thing is, I'd really like to get rid of that old truck. Isn't there any way to destroy this thing?
Actually, no. Linex spray-on bed liners are guaranteed for the life of your truck. Linex, serious protection, killer looks, guaranteed.
Linex of Midville is now open for business at 7000 South State. Linex and Jordan Camper have teamed up to offer you the very best in protective coatings and truck accessories. We specialize in truck tops and tonneau covers from ARE, a wide range of products from floor mats to step bars. Just what you need to make your truck look and perform its best. Jordan Camper at 7000 South State features multiple installation bays with trained technicians ready to install. Follow us on jordancamper.com and Facebook.
You could file your taxes on a basic free service, which is fine. But are you okay with fine? Because when it's your money on the line, do you really want to guess if you missed a credit or hope the math is right? Get the confidence of TurboTax for free right on the Intuit Credit Karma app. Free Fed and free state for simple 1040s only. Around 37% of filers qualify. See details at turbotax.com/free. No schedules except for EITC, CTC, student loan interest, and Schedule 1A.
Wait, everything on this IHOP value menu is just $6?
I told you it was amazing. A huge plate of pancakes, bacon, and eggs is just $6.
Wow.
There's also French toast, a ham and cheese omelet, and oh, they got a BLT and fries now.
Okay, we're coming here every day.
You don't have to tell me twice.
Feast for just $6 with the IHOP value menu. $7 in some locations, available every day for a limited time at participating restaurants in the U.S. Hours may vary. No substitutions. Not valid with other discounts or promotions. Prices may vary.
Let me ask you a question. You have a best friend? How big would it shock you if somebody told you that your best friend just killed somebody?
911, what's your emergency? Someone on the other line said they kidnapped my son, and they're demanding $500,000.
I've asked myself so many times, what in the world happened?
Ransom is available now. Listen at ransompodcast.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
This is Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. A volunteer at Best Friends Animal Sanctuary in Kanab has found a unique way to improve the lives of the hundreds of cats that call Best Friends home while awaiting adoption. Curtis McKiff is giving them a stylish yet comfortable place to lounge. He has built 40 mini Adirondack chairs and 10 cat day beds for these animals. Now, he finds great pleasure using scrap wood to create the brightly colored Adirondack chairs in his garage workshop.
I said, well, I'm going to make some Adirondack chairs to put on the porch. I got a pattern out of a book, and I made a couple. And I thought, you know what? I'll bet if I make one half size and we have a cat area in the center of the house. I'll bet if I put this outside, the cats would love to lay in a little tiny Adirondack chair. And so to, make the little furniture for them was kind of fun. And when my wife suggested that maybe the cats up at the sanctuary could use it too, I was like, yeah, absolutely. I came up with the general pattern for the chairs. I made myself a template and built them from scratch, and it's fun. Once I made the first 6, they were a big hit, and they asked if I could make more. I volunteer up at the sanctuary a couple of days a week and, spend time with my own pets. And, this is my sanctuary. I make sawdust, and whatever comes out after the sawdust, it usually turns out pretty good.
Now, he says he wants the Adirondacks to be bulletproof, both for the cats and for the people who have to clean them.
Even these that I've refurbished, it does my heart good to see the scratch marks and, where they've been running and jumping on the stuff and playing and, well used, well loved. I mean, it makes me feel good. And when I see a cat sunning itself in one of my chairs, I smile a little bit, perfect.
Curtis was profiled on the organization's social media because it takes thousands of volunteers like him to care for the animals at Best Friends. Senior Manager of Visitor Community and Engagement, Kira Ikeda, tells me it's volunteers that help them fulfill their mission.
Oh, my gosh. So we typically have around 1,600 animals. Last year we had around 7,000 volunteers, but we also have a lot of caregivers that come and assist with the animal care. So it really just depends on how many volunteers come to visit us and how many local volunteers we have as well, because we do have people who live in Kanab and they have set schedules to help assist with the animals.
Describe for me the opportunity for volunteers and why this is a cool experience.
We have 2 volunteer shifts each day in each animal care area. What's really cool about it, though, is you can have interactions with animals that you wouldn't normally see. So, we do have cats and dogs and bunnies, but then we also have an area with parrots. We have a wildlife rehab center with wildlife educational animals. We also have horses and pigs and goats. So there's a lot of different opportunities for people who want to experience the sanctuary and interact with animals they don't normally get to see.
What are some of the other unique ways that people have been involved, and what have they done?
So we have some volunteers who will often help with sewing. So we need blankets or toys made or beds. We'll have volunteers help with that. We even have opportunities in our landscaping department or our buildings teams. And so sometimes we'll have people come to visit where maybe one family member wants to interact with the cats, but the other family member isn't as keen on working with animals, but they have maybe a really good like a handyman background. And so they might help with the buildings department making some benches or helping paint new buildings. So there's a variety of opportunities.
So tell me about the Cadirondacks and how that all came about. Tell me about the volunteer who's doing that.
Yeah, so Curtis is an amazing volunteer. Him and his wife, Mindy, have been with us for a while. They typically volunteer in dogs, but I think they kind of saw the opportunity of assisting in other ways and make those little Adirondack chairs for the kitty cats.
And talk to me about what you see. I mean, are the cats enjoying these Cadirondacks?
Very much. All of our cats live in catios, so they have full indoor and outdoor access, but not to roam. They're enclosed. And when it's sunny, they come and lay on the Cadirondacks with the blankets, and it's just so cute to see.
Okay. How do people get involved if they want to volunteer?
So they can sign up online. It's volunteers.bestfriends.org, or they can email us just at volunteers@bestfriends.org, and we can assist them. It's just a really magical place, and it's great being surrounded by like-minded individuals who love animals.
In 2025, 14,000 volunteers from coast to coast donated more than 500,000 hours to help care for the animals at Best Friends. Thanks for being with me today. Jeff Kaplan has joined me. Your wife built a catio.
Yeah, she did. It was like affixed to a window in our house so the cat could go outside, lounge, screened in. It was carpeted, for goodness sakes.
Oh my gosh, you should see those cats lounging on those chairs. Pretty cool. Have a great afternoon.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Good afternoon, 3 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Jeff Kaplan. We have showers. I look at the temperature in Salt Lake City and I think this can't